listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Am I allowed to talk now? Can I talk now? I just got yelled at by Pete and Louie. I got yelled at.
Not by me. Not by me. I just happen to agree with Pete. I agreed with him. I didn't say it.
Well, I just figured we would start one show without you going.
While Pete says, "Quiet, everybody, quiet," and then it's like, like.
All right, let me start the show. Here we go. And away we go. We are back, and I am talking. I don't give a shit what they say. Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the only one that brings all sorts of snorting, snotty nose sounds to you and the kitchen table to you fellas and ladies out there. Welcome back, Salty Nation, Leatherhead Nation. Nation, welcome back.
Jesus Christ.
Well, what's up, Ruffy?
What up, kid?
How's it going?
Good. A couple people, Kirk contacted me, sent me a text. He said he enjoyed himself. He actually was down at the Tunnel to Towers, as was Bobby Galleone. And both of them said that a lot of guys came up to him from the podcast, and just guys from all around the country. That's a big turnout for that, obviously. That's a good that would say what the heck do they do? They raise a lot of money for all sorts of charity.
Yeah, man. Great charity.
And Bobby and Kirk both said that, you know, guys were coming up to them, really thanking them for what they do on the show and what they did. So,
yeah, the guy hit me up on Facebook. He says, I was doing the Tunnel for Towers. I had to stop and go shake Mr. Galleone's hand. I said, I'm from the Gettin Salty Experience. And he said, don't believe everything you hear. He told me that.
Go play in traffic, kid.
And then he said,
"Hey, Moose, Rocco, help the judge find his checkbook."
Well, he'll be back, Galleone and the Rocky Show on the 28th, right before Halloween. Beautiful.
Perfect.
We'll have to have a little Halloween costume party again, like we did with Milner.
God.
I don't know. We'll get those guys to dress up though.
No, you think you're gonna get Bob to dress up? There's no way.
Maybe I throw a pizza down his throat or something. I don't know. No.
Yeah. Maybe.
You put a chef hat, a little chef hat or something,
Yeah.
If we went to New Haven and he got the pizza from there, maybe he would do it.
All right.
Wow.
Anywho. Yeah,
thank you to Fire Dave coming in shit hot already with the super chat. I didn't.
Pete didn't even mention it yet. All right, so get at it, Pete. Yeah. Besides, I left out the. You know what? What we have to do, honestly, we dropped the ball last time, bro. Before we do the shameless plugs, it's the Pledge of Allegiance time, my friend. You have to make that. Shout it out, Pete. Get it.
Okay. Well, here we go, everyone. Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo.
Amen.
Every time, baby. Amen, kid. All right, now get the shameless plugs.
All right, play ball. And here we go. It's the show, as always, brought to you guys by GettinSaltyApparel.com, where you will find T-shirts like this, are one of our 9/11 shirts, or perhaps the hat Mr. Ruffy's wearing, or maybe this gorgeous, lovely tumbler that I keep shoving in your faces every single week, guys. If you like firefighter apparel and firefighter stuff, like cool cigar cutters that are shaped like saws and little lighters that have the fire blowing out the side of the third floor window, then go to GettinSaltyApparel.com and support us and support the show. And also, guys, thank you to everyone already who's hitting us with the super chats. But if you guys feel like throwing a few shekels our way during the show, hit us up in the super chat. If you have a question to ask and it has to be answered, it must be answered, hit us up with that super chat. We really appreciate it. It also helps us out quite a bit. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, you want to talk about salty. We got a guy so salty. Let me just start out with this. He took the test for the job in 1961. So you blow that and the salt comes flying off the guy. I don't know if it's salt or dust. He's been around.
It's the guy that, they do like this. That guy, the meme, like salt.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring him in. Ruffy, you bring him in. You're the one who finally, after beating him over the head for some time, got him on the show.
Well, I have to say that it wasn't just myself. I have to give credit to Jeff Cool and Kevin Yost. to kind of sway him. I mean, we've been working on him for a long time, and he is he's just a gentleman. So without further ado, we'll bring in Deputy Chief Joe DiBernardo.
There he goes.
Good evening, man. Hey.
Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, Chief.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So you've seen this once or twice. You've seen these.
Yes, I have.
Shenanigans.
Yes.
You've seen the shenanigans that goes on.
That was the first rule. That was the first rule. He said no shenanigans.
No shenanigans.
No, tone down shenanigans.
I hope I can contribute something to your professional education of the fire service.
Yes. Tell a few more stories about that bar. What was the name of that bar? Some shenanigans going on there.
Easy now.
Definitely some shenanigans going on.
Hey now.
Yeah.
You know, I did tell the chief that we were not looking to sandbag him, right, guys?
Right out of the box. Scoob just throwing bombs already.
I'm just saying there was a little shenanigans going on. We were laughing already in the pre-show.
Nice.
So, all right, Chief. So 61, you take the test. What makes you decide to become a firefighter? What?
Well, my mother and father, they grew up during the Depression, and the only people in the neighborhood that were working, my mom always told me, and my father, were cops and firemen. So she said, "You got to take a cop test. You got to take a fireman's test." I said, "Well, I don't want to be a cop." So I took the fireman's test in 61, and I was knocking around, doing a lot of different things, going to school, working construction, working retail, and then I wound up in the Army. So I took it that, because I didn't even know a fireman. So I wound up in the Army in 1964. And basically, that's it. You want me to continue on with my Army?
Yes.
I mean, it's a little more than just you winding up in the Army, because you wound up in Vietnam, didn't you? I mean, that was...
Oh, look at that guy.
Yeah, I was lean, mean fighting machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No freaking
That's
kidding.
Where they get
That's-
that thing from.
Holy mackerel, look at that one too.
That was on a bridge over the Song Bay River. I was the con blew the bridge, and we were just passing through on a convoy. And I was with the 1st Infantry Division over there. We were the 2nd Army unit in the country after the 173rd Airborne Brigade. We that's me in Sumville, and I operated did a lot of air assaults and into a lot of famous places in the area. The Iron Triangle, the Michelin Rubber Plantation, Coochie, Fookvin, all famous places. We were in country early. We just lived in foxholes, ate sea rations. So you want to find out what you're made of, you become a grunt, brothers, and you'll find out as soon as the bullet starts flying. You find out what you're made of.
Yeah, no doubt.
A lot of big tough guys in the States, they weren't so tough over there.
Yeah, no
And a
doubt
lot of
about
little guys stood up and did their jobs, and they showed the courage that they had, and they were very, we did our jobs.
God loved the little guys. God loved the little guys.
Yeah.
Little guys don't get the credit.
I love this saying. They said you guys were courageous, and what is courage? And I always love to say this. So it's like, how do you define courage? And I like to say, courage is not the absence of fear, but it is the ability to perform your job while you're consumed with fear. So that's a great saying.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. Could you repeat that one more time, Chief? Say that again.
Okay. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it is the ability to perform your job while you are consumed with fear. So you can take that into the fire service.
Oh, absolutely.
So when the bullet starts flying, your throat becomes sandpaper dry, your heart's pounding, you feel hollow, the noise is deafening. You really can't comprehend the mental and physical state you're in. I never experienced fear in FDNY because I was always fully alert to my circumstances and the danger I was in, but I had confidence in myself and the men around me. But I think combat, prepares you for the fire service, because once you've been there, done that as a grunt, believe me, not that many things scare you.
I was going to ask you how you would compare that type of scenario with crawling down the hallway, but you just.
I tell you what, I never was afraid at a fire, because I had, like I said, I had confidence in my ability and confidence of the guys around me. I think if you know what you're doing, you just don't have that fear. You compartmentalize it. You put it in the back of your head someplace, and you do your job. You don't even think about it.
Wow.
So that's the way
even as a probie, maybe you're not that confident yet, but maybe what you saw in Vietnam, prepared you more than the normal guy who, just coming out of college or whatever.
All those guys were always so good. Or anybody who was in the service, or when I was a probie, I had a few guys that were Vietnam vets, and those guys were so calm and so cool. Like you just said, Chief, nothing could shake those guys, because when you get, like you said, when you're going through the stuff they were going through and you were going through, there's not much that's going to shake your knees, not even a fire running into burning buildings.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the job called me in January 65, and I said, I'm a little busy right now. I'm over in a place called Vietnam. I never even heard of the place until I went there, and I volunteered to go there with the 1st Infantry. But anyway, they called me, they put me on the military deferment list, and they said, call us when you get home. And I got out in around March of 65, and I was in the June of 65 probie class. It was great.
Wow.
We had small class, 50 guys. Most of us were vets, and they treat, we were men. There was no, back in those days, it wasn't like boot camp. They're drilling, and there was no drill instructors yelling at you or anything. And we were men. They treated us like men. And in my class, we had a lot of vets, a lot of guys that came home from Nam. And I had a lot of great legendary firefighters in my class. And like one of them was Freddie DeFeo. I don't know if you ever saw the movie We Were Soldiers Once and Young, about the first calf. Well, Freddie was in the Nha Trang Valley. He was a medic in Nha Trang. Yep.
Wow.
And I had great guys. That's my probie class. If you see me up there, I'm in the back
right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. And right next to me, to my left, that's Larry Fitzpatrick, the famous Larry Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fitzy and I, we had a lot of great guys in that class. And probie school was 8 weeks then. And there's another guy in that photograph, if I can find him. Okay. The second from, as you look at it, second row from the top, second guy in is Danny Ray. And Danny Ray was killed in the 23rd Street fire. That's Danny Ray in that
Is that
photo.
right?
Chief, are any of these guys you still keep in touch with from your probie class?
Oh yeah, one of the famous guys in our class was Tom Kennedy. Who, if you ever heard of Tom Kennedy, I'll give you his resume. Tom was appointed to 48 truck, went to Rescue 3, then he went to 31 truck, lieutenant of 26 truck, captain of 56 truck, chief of the 16th Battalion, and the deputy in the 6th Division. I mean, he worked in every Bonton company in the ghetto.
I never saw any fires, but you said.
No fire for that guy.
I'll tell you what's ironic is that Fitzy and I, Larry Fitzpatrick, we did the single slide together at graduation, and we practiced it like 30 times before graduation, and we did the single slide. Ironically, when Fitzy was in Rescue 3, he went out over the roof on a single slide to rescue Frisbee.
Yes.
And the rope broke, and they both died.
Yeah.
So him and I did the single slide on graduation, and that's how he died.
Wow.
It's so ironic. So anyway, I get out of there. I graduated, and they signed me to 39 Engine.
67 between 3rd and Lex.
Great house, great guys.
I know it very well. I was in 16 truck. Yep.
Great house, great guys. I'm still friends with them today. A lot of guys in the house were World War II vets, you know, because 66, a lot of the senior guys had 20-something years in. A lot of our officers, I had guys that were POWs, everything.
Wow.
You name it.
Shit.
So one of the guys, T.P. McGuire, I sent you a photo of T.P. McGuire was in the Korean War, and T.P. got the Navy Cross in the Korean War, and they say he should have got the Medal of Honor. He single-handedly took out 3 North Korean trench lines. He got the Navy Cross. That's T.P. McGuire right there. And that's my son as a very young child there.
Wow.
T.P. McGuire giving out Christmas stuff. Should have got the Medal of Honor, but he got the Navy Cross. He was a great guy, T.P. He's no longer with us.
It's the highest honor the Navy will give, the Navy Cross.
Yeah, it's just below the Medal of Honor. It's the highest thing you can get in the Marine Corps and the Navy is the Navy Cross.
Wow.
So we had a lot of Korean and senior guys. I worked with a guy named, a lieutenant named Jimmy Procops, who was at Normandy, and he was my role model. Jim never raised his voice, never got excited. He just said, okay, guys, move in. All right, hit it over here, do this. Never raised his voice. And I said, Jesus, if I ever get promoted, I want to be just like Jim. And I said, because you know when you had screamers, right? And yellers,
Yeah, sure.
Guys that panicked. And I said, if I ever, lucky enough to promote, I want to be like Jim. So, and it was a great house.
Hey, Chief, just to interrupt, like we say all the time, right? If you're calm, people stay calm, right? If you're screaming and yelling, then people are going to get angst up, right? I mean, that's just how it is, and that's why you looked at that guy the way you looked at him, is because he was cool under pressure, right?
Okay, I like that. Start off with a little story. You got a picture of Smokey there? The fire
that
dog?
was the dog. Oh, the dog.
The dog, yes. I have him somewhere.
Smokey.
Is
Chief,
that that's not Rocky? Hold on, I got Smokey.
No.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Is this
When
him?
you went to 39 and 16, Chief, that's when they had like all 8 floors there, right? In that firehouse?
Well, we had the whole building. Yes, it was all vacant up above except for the FBI. It was spying on the Russian embassy.
Right across the street, yeah.
Right. They were hanging out with they were filming and photographing everybody that was going in and out of the Russian embassy. So we had the whole building. Yeah,
Ruffy, the Russian embassy was literally, you could spit.
I remember that story. I remember somebody else said that.
Yeah. And this dog that you're going to see, Smokey, he used to go over and take a leak on their fence.
This guy right here?
Yeah, this Smokey, the smartest dog in the world. Now, they even said in the paper, Smokey's doing to the Russians what we'd like to do. They said that in the New York Times. Well, let me tell you some stories about Smokey. Back in those days, when I came on the job, we had the bells, right? There was no voice alarm or computers or anything like that. We counted the bells. Smokey could count because we were first due on 900 boxes. So as soon as the bells came in, his head would come up. He'd be laying on the floor, and it came in and it banged out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He would sit up, and then say it was like 987. He knew which boxes we were first due on. He'd run down the stairs, and we had open rigs in those days, and he'd be the first one on the rig. He could count. He would
ride with you.
Oh yes, we had open rigs, so he'd ride on the engine compartment. Okay, then we'd get out, we'd be stretching a line, and he'd get so excited he would bite the hose. It actually looked like he was pulling the hose with us. Now, the next company up, 44 Engine, had the Rheingold dog, the famous Rheingold. Now, Smokey was a mixed breed. Sparky in 44 was a thoroughbred. So he was the lead. He looked down on Smokey. So they get into a fight every time we ran in together. But Sparky is talking. He's telling him, you're a mutt. I'm a full breed.
Yeah,
right. And Rheingold gave 44 Engine a lot of money, and they. Well, anyway, Smokey, we used to go up to Harlem on a 5th or a 4th or a 3rd. He'd go up on a roof with us, hang out for a while. He'd get bored. He'd leave. Now we're up on 135th Street or something. We get back to 67th Street. There's Smokey standing in front of the firehouse. He was so smart. Now, I would go between tours. I'd go over to Central Park and walk him in the park. and he loved going into the park. And these this is a Bonton neighborhood, so you got some of these maids walking these French poodles from Park Avenue. And Smokey go over and mount a couple of them, and they go, "Is that your dog? Is that your? No, that's not my dog. Never seen that dog before."
I think he's just having a little fun. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I tell you, once we had a run up there on Fifth Avenue. And he runs in the lobby with us, and the doorman and everything, and it's frogs. It's beautiful. So Smokey he got a little excited, so he had to relieve himself in the lobby, and the doorman is screaming at us, "Is that your dog?" "No, we never seen this dog before. It's not our dog." And eventually we got the closed rigs, so Smokey couldn't ride with us anymore. So he used to chase us down 3rd Avenue for like blocks and blocks. And as he got older and older, he's just, I think it broke his heart that he couldn't ride anymore.
Oh.
And eventually, after I had left and the company and everything, Smokey did get hit by a cab, but he was great. So anyway, I got assigned to 39 engine, and I get my first fire. I'll tell you about my first fire.
Oh yeah, hold on. I got a picture of it actually.
Oh yeah, you have my first fire?
Yeah, here it is.
That's my first one. Okay. That was my first
39 and 16. Good one, Petey.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pull that one. That was the chief pulling that one on himself. To be honest.
Oh, all right.
I wouldn't mess with the chief.
That's my first run. Okay, so anyway.
That's your first run. No, that's not your
my first run. Actually, we had a manhole fire, and it was on 3rd Avenue, and we stretched the line. Now, you guys have been to manhole jobs, right? You know when they blow, what it sounds like, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've seen them break windows 5 stories up in the air. It's like, it's loud and it's scary. So my first run, we get a manhole fire. We stretch a line, and we're standing around, and the manhole blows. And I had a flashback.
Oh,
6 weeks earlier, I was in Nam. In my mind, I hit the deck. I thought it was incoming. Right? Now the guys, they look around, and there I am laying on the sidewalk. And they go, "Holy crap, what did they send us from Provo?" Holy Christ, this guy's what kind of fireman is this guy? So he's laying on the ground from Provo, a manhole fire. I looked up, I was totally embarrassed. I said, "Sorry guys, I just had a flashback." I never talked about Vietnam. So, I never told them I was in Vietnam. They said, where you coming from, Joe? I said, "I just got out of the Army." I said, "Look, guys, I just had a flashback to Vietnam." So they're probably wondering what kind of fireman this guy's going to turn out to be. Boy. But, it really brought me back 6 weeks earlier. So anyway, we had I went to a lot of fires and tenement fires, high-rise fireproofs and everything. And I became, junior man in those days. Was the last man on the line. I guess he became a control man. What you guys we didn't call it that. Nobody had names in those days. So, and you would come in with the mask. You'd be the mask man, because the guys that stretched the line didn't wear masks. So I was the junior guy, hooked up. Then I went in and relieved the guy on the nozzle with the mask. So after a few jobs, I saw I could do the job. I was accepted, and I was one of the boys, and I made friends for life there. I'll tell you a couple interesting fires I had in 39 and 16. One of them, we had a high-rise fireproof with 2 DOAs, and what a high-rise fireproof, right? If they're the toughest fires you can get. So sometimes you can't even make the hallway, right? But we have 2 DOAs, a mother and a daughter. And the husband was away on a business trip, very wealthy, intelligent man. As a result of this fire, this guy says that he's going to invent and develop residential smoke detectors. And he put his money and his friend's money together, and they developed the first commercial residential smoke detector back then in those days.
Is that right?
So I was at the fire where it all originated.
Wow.
Because he lost his wife and daughter. Tell you another interesting fire I had. We had an office building fire at 919 3rd Avenue. It was one of the first really big office building fires. And O'Hagan was chief of department at that time. And as I was at that job, as a result of that job, O'Hagan had local law 5 written to regulate the construction of office buildings. So the compartmentalized office buildings, because you didn't want a wide open space. And he got the local law 5 passed, and he also developed written tactics for high-rise fires. I was at that fire. Another high-rise fire was at that is an interesting little comment. We had two 2.5s going down a hall at a high-rise office building fire, and it was like going into jaws of hell. It was hot as hell. 2.5-inch lines. We got in like a foot, and then 2 feet, and like 3 feet, and man, we were getting beat to hell. Eventually, make a long story short, the fire goes out. Chief comes up, he says, "Oh, you guys are great job, you guys. You put the fire out." I said, "Chief, look around. It's nothing but ashes. We didn't put the fire out. It burned itself out." That's typical Manhattan high-rise fire. Then I'll tell you another story. We had a fire. We had a out of the pit, oil burner out of the pit in a brownstone, in a very wealthy brownstone. I don't know if you guys remember the actor named Hillbrenner. You guys remember him?
Yeah.
Okay. He was a very famous actor back in the 60s and 70s. So we have the fire out of the pit, blah, blah, blah. We put it out, and I hear somebody talking in the background, and it's Hillbrenner. He had a distinctive voice. You could pick him out in the crowd. I said, "Oh my Christ, that's Hillbrenner." I turn around, who's standing there? Hillbrenner. And I know it's Hillbrenner. I said, "Holy Christ, it's you." And he smiles, and I go, "Steve McQueen." Right in his chops. And he says, "You little snot." And I said, "I'm only teasing, I said, "I loved you in the Magnificent Seven, the original Magnificent Seven movie with Hillbrenner." He said, "Yeah, thank God for that movie. I'm still living off the residuals." And then, by the way, it was Henry Fonda's townhouse. Okay, here's another good story. Here's another good story.
I like this. He just keeps rolling.
Yeah,
we get a job in a high-rise. Get a job in a high-rise. I'm second to engine, right? We hook up 2 floors below. I tell Lieutenant Procas, "I got to get upstairs and get a layout of the place." Says, "All right." So I go up to the fire apartment. I crawl down the hallway. I crawl in. I'm crawling around. Next thing I know, I see a naked man laying on the floor. I go, "Yay, I got one." So I start dragging him out. Next thing I know, the guy from the truck comes over. We carry him out. The hallway is charged down to the floor. Can't see where we're going. We're going down the hallway. I got the front end. He's got the back end. I got him by the...
That's the better end.
Yeah, definitely. I was one step ahead of the guy. Well, anyway, it's an L-shaped hallway. I got his head. I ram his head into the wall accidentally, because I couldn't see where I was going. So we make a little turn. We get to the steps. Now, I don't know if you've ever pulled a body out of a fire. They're very sweaty.
Skin's coming off.
Very sweaty and everything. So now get him to the stairs, and I drop him. He rolls down the stairs. He tumbles down the stairs. I get down the bottom. I jump on him. I don't want to give the guy mouth to mouth, so I start giving him pressure. So the truckie's got to give him mouth to mouth.
Better end again.
I'm one step ahead of this guy. Oh, anyway, next thing I know, the ambulance is up there. They take him away. It's about 4:00 in the morning, and the fire marshals come to the firehouse. They go, "I want to talk to the guy that found the guy in the fire." I said, "That's me. What's up?" So we're making the fire suspicious. "Why are you making it suspicious?" He said, "Well, that guy was full of bruises. His head had a big lump in it. All lumps all over his body. I think they beat him up before they set the fire." I said, no, wait a minute. Let me tell you what really happened.
That's generally what happens anyway. You can't see anything.
Yeah. So anyway, 1968, I get that they have a department-wide lift.
This is what I wanted to hear about. I don't think I heard this before.
It's an involuntary transfer. They lifted guys from so-called busy companies. Mm-hmm. Now, what was a busy company? In 1968, a busy company was considered if you did 3,000 runs. Okay. So they lifted guys from busy companies to slower companies and slower companies. So I went up to 36 engine. 126th and Park in the old firehouse. 120. Yeah. They just, they did it. I was the junior man in 39. I went up to 36. I was reunited with Larry Fitzpatrick. He was a fireman in 36. It was a great house. It was a single engine under the Park Avenue, under the railroad there. All right, now I'm with new guys. In 36, I have to prove myself again, right? I got to go to fires with these guys. I got to prove myself. Bunch of fires, we get a fire one night one day I come in early. In those days, if you put your helmet on the nozzle, that means you had the nozzle, So if you got in early, you put your helmet on the nozzle. Unless a senior man said, oh no, he threw your helmet off. I got that. So anyway, one night I go in, I said, this is bullshit. I'm putting my helmet on a nozzle. So I put my helmet on the nozzle. We go out the door. We first do at a tenement job. It's going really good. It's out in the shafts. The second due engine went to exposure 2. The third went to 4. It goes to a 5th alarm. We have 3 floors of fire, and I take the nozzle and I put out 3 floors of fire. So it was a piece of cake. So after that, I was accepted.
3 floors of fire.
And another interesting thing about 36 is the first night of interchange in the job, the first night they had interchange, I interchanged the first night. We went to College Point. we had a run, and I remember we went this way, and we were going down some street, and there were companies going that way. So we were totally lost. So after like a week of interchange, the bright guys downtown said, I think we should leave a guy back in each company. And if because they didn't do that in the beginning. So then they left the guy back so the guy could tell you how to get to the boxes.
Right.
Back in those days, we had what they call route cards. I don't know if they still have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, they still got them.
Yeah, the only thing is now, if you went into the busy areas, you had the route card, you looked it up, and now you're out on a run. But in the busy areas, when you're out on a run, you had another run and another run. And you had no idea you were going because the route cards were back and forth.
Sitting at the desk at the house watch.
Yeah, so that's why they started leaving a guy back. So, it's 36 engine. We had a lot of tenements, single pane glass windows, straw mattresses, wooden, not plastic furniture. It was a different job back then from what you guys really had. Double pane windows and plastics. It's really different now. The job started getting busy in 68. Guys I went on the job with still lived in the Bronx in 68. My family still lived in East New York, And so, it was started to get busy in 68. And they started calling it, I don't know when they started calling it the war years. I didn't even know we were in a war. We just went out the door and went to fires. So it was just, you did your job, So I really don't know when they coined that term, and whoever first used it, but it'd be interesting to find out, So anyway, I was going to Hunter College.
Hey.
I wanted to, Hunter College. I wanted to be, I was always wanted to be a teacher and a coach. So I transferred back to 16 and 39. Okay. And I got some more stories if you want to hear them.
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
Okay, let's see.
So we're up to 1970. I got to make sure on my list here. Right, 1970, you go back to Hunter College. Now, the reason that people don't know, the reason you transfer back there is because Hunter College is right down the block from 39 and 16. Yep.
Okay, now we get a job in one of those nice places around York Avenue, nice tenement, 1-bedroom apartment. This is a good one. Crawl in. There's the couch is going. I make a left. I go in the bedroom. I reach up on the bed. There's a body. It's a chick, girl, a woman. I take her out, pull her out, and go in the hallway. But I'm quick, right? So this time, good looking chick, I go for the mouth to mouth, right? So I'm giving
these are the
mouth to
tips that you
mouth.
got. These are the ones you got to be writing down.
Yeah. The guy didn't want to give the mouth to mouth, but the girl will give mouth.
Of course.
I'm giving her mouth to mouth, and all of a sudden her eyes go, bring, they open up, and she looks at me, and she goes, get the off of me, slaps me across the face. Oh man,
shit.
she must have been drinking, the poor thing. She was overcome by the smoke.
Passed
We
out.
pull her out. We save her life, and she slaps me. That's the gratitude you get. I'm telling you. But she was a good-looking chick, and I didn't
And then
mind
you went
giving
on.
her back.
Then you went on to marry her. No.
No. Okay. Another
Would've been
time.
an awesome story.
There's another good one. We get a job in Rockefeller University down on York Avenue.
You don't want to go in there.
Oh yeah, we went in there. We get a basement job, right? Crawling in, can't see nothing. I reach up, I got a body. I go, I got one. I start getting a body, Then I hear a guy to my left goes, I got one. And another guy, I got one. And the lieutenant says, multiple 1045s down here. You know where we were?
The morgue.
We were in the cadaver room where they cut up the bodies. And the lieutenant said, wait a minute, cancel them 1045s.
Oh my God. That one you can't make up. You can't make that story up.
They had all sorts of crazy stuff going on in that place over there.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah, I'll tell you. All right, so that's another story from 16 and 30. Then I get
All right,
promoted.
wait, let's go back before that. You transferred from 39 to the truck, so you were in the truck
Right.
in 16.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, are you familiar with, you were a fireman there? Did they still have the beautiful old wall lockers? Oh no, you were in the new house, right?
Yeah. The one that's attached to the
they had some. It was
the PD got all those floors above. Remember, they changed that firehouse.
Yeah, it was a beautiful old firehouse built in 1878.
Yep.
So I get that promoted to lieutenant.
Yep.
And,
75.
Chief,
Yeah,
let me just ask you quick. Were you married at this time? Did you get married at this time?
I got married in 68.
Okay.
And my
so
Joey was born in Joey was born in 70. That's when you saw the little boy in that picture.
Okay.
I get promoted to lieutenant. I go up to the 3rd Battalion in the Bronx. Things are rocking and rolling up there. It looked like Berlin after the war. You want me to show you that picture?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me.
Yeah, right there. It's good there, Chief.
Oh
Perfect.
my God.
That's Charlotte and 170. There is, as you can see, there used to be a lot of buildings around there. They're not there anymore. Now, if you look close, you see that dome building?
Yeah.
Okay. We had a job in there. It was vacant school. Tommy Kennedy he was driving 31 truck that day. The guys get trapped. It lights up. Tommy raises the bucket. He plucks a couple of guys out of this window. And as he's going to this window, a guy named Tom Connie, I believe it was, he's burning, man. He jumps and he leaps and he leaps out into the bucket. He lands on the 3 guys in the bucket. He breaks one of their legs and everything. It was a terrible fire. And like 2 of the 3 guys got out of the job.
From that fire.
From that school that you see in that picture. But all those buildings, they were all buildings, all those lots. That's Charlotte in 170. The president of the United States comes there when he starts his HUD program, urban development.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, and what happened is they put up owner-occupied 2 and 3 family dwellings, and they really were nice, and it really renovated the areas, okay? Okay, things are rocking and rolling up there. Shots are fired, drugs all over the place. We're crawling into every night. Come on. We're crawling into shooting galleries. We're crawling over needles and drugs, pulling people out.
How many fires a day, Chief? How many fires a day you going to?
A lot. I'll tell you what, in 1976, in the 70s there, 300,000 families were burnt out. 300,000 families were burnt out. We had 156,000 structural fires in 1976. Now, that's what we recorded. But we had many more than that. I'll tell you why. We didn't have computers. We had manual typewriters, Hunt and Tech, right?
Yeah.
So if you had usually the chief did the fire report, right? But the chief was usually at a fire over here, and we were at a fire over here. So you had to make the fire report out as a lieutenant.
Nobody's doing
So a lot of times we go to a vacant building fire and we stretch the booster. And I don't know, they didn't have boosters. You guys didn't have that, right? We had booster lines. We go in a vacant, maybe one room was going. We knock it down with the booster line and we come out. You know, now I got to go back to quarters and type up a CD25A, a structural fire report, because it was a structural fire. I don't want to type out a structural fire report. So we do one-liners. We made it outside rubbish, even though it was inside rubbish. And so what I'm saying is in 76, when we reported 156,000 structural fires, we had like probably 200,000 structural fires, okay? All right. Then Dennis Smith in the early 70s had written that book, Report from Engine Company 82. I think you got that photo of that book.
Yeah, we had him on. We had him on, actually.
Okay, Dennis wrote that book, and I think it was 1972. And he put all the boys from the Bronx on the map. That's it. That's the original. That put the FDNY on the map. That put Engine Company 82, Ladder 31 on the map. Okay, I'm covering up there in the 3rd Battalion. I'm working in like 94 and 48, which was second due to 82 and 31. So every time 82 and 31 had a job, 94 and 48 were on the floor above. They were all great companies up there. I'm doing vacations, filling in for day tour or night tour. I just wanted to get through the tour, you know, without it getting anybody hurt, do a good job, prove myself. You know, at a fire, you're only as good as your last fire, right? And, you know, guys, we didn't wear masks in those days. You know, if you wore a mask, you were a wuss. So I was always throwing up and I always had a headache.
Was he still there when you got there, Chief Dennis Smith?
Dennis transferred to City Island in 70. No, not City Island. Excuse me. The one up where Freedom Land used to be, Co-op City. Right. Dennis went to Co-op City.
When you got there, did they still have that extra truck in there? No,
that was O'Hagan got rid of all that in 74. The TCUs, the second sections,
the TCU unit, right?
The TCUs, the second sections, all that stuff he got rid of when he made the cutbacks in like 73, 74. Even though it was crazy times.
Right. Is that when
all the second sections? But a lot of them became like 58 truck and 55 truck, and the second sections became 55 truck, 56 truck, 58 truck, and a lot of Brooklyn companies, okay, that weren't in existence before that. Okay, so going to a lot of jobs, 2, 3, 4 jobs a tour, a lot of running. As soon as the kids get out of school, 3 o'clock, pull boxes. You know, you go to 20, 30 false alarms a tour. A lot of stolen cars. You get there, they take everything, put it up on milk crates, and then set it on fire. Yeah, the Bronx is great. It's got every kind of building in the world except office buildings. So you really learn your job up there because it had tenements, taxpayers, a lot of taxpayer fires that you don't have in Manhattan. Row frames, PDs, Queen Anne's, everything. So 1976, I was lucky. Tom Simmons in 82 went on medical leave. So I got to be UFO in 82 and 31. I work with legendary guys like Tommy Neary. You've heard of him.
Yep.
Charlie McCarthy, Tommy Kennedy, Jerry Albert, Tommy Walsh, the infamous Tommy Walsh. I think you got a picture of him.
Yep.
Willie Knapp, Carmine Croce. You have pictures of all these guys. The Valenzano brothers, Eddie Penna. You have photographs of all these guys.
I do. It's just I can't bring him. I can't bring him up as fast as you.
Okay, but these guys are all legendary firemen. I work with Captain Bob Farrell. Bob Farrell was a lieutenant and a captain. He was a Korean War vet. There was a Navy frogman before they were called SEALs. Operated behind enemy lines.
Mm-hmm.
This guy Bob is a piece of work. He never wore a mask, and he probably been to 10,000 fires. Never wore a mask.
I've been trying to get him on the show for about 8 months. He doesn't want to come on.
He's amazing. There was Him and Louis Andre, they were called Batman and Robin. Now, how did they get that nickname? They used to buff, they'd be out on a run and they hear something come in, the 1075 would come in and they say, hey, we go in a second. I know, let's sneak over there. So they would sneak over there and they, like Chief Burns had the job, he'd be standing there and they would sneak up behind him. And Chief Burns said, transmit the second. And Batman and Robin would tap him on the shoulder and say, we're here, Chief. And he said, holy shit, where'd you guys come from, the Batcave? He said, where'd you come from, the Batcave? So that's how they got the nickname Batman and Robin. Yeah. And also, Bob Farrell, he was also known as God with a little G. They used to call him God with a little G. And how did he get God with a little G? Well, Willie Knapp, who was the famous nozzleman that you have a picture of.
I'm going to pull that up.
Yeah, Willie Knapp was a legendary guy. Spent his career in '82. Great nozzleman. So they're second due to a job one day, and Willie's got the knob. He's at the door, and he sees the fires burn through from the floor below. So he's not going in too far. Farrell's right behind him. He said, move in, Knapp, move in, for Christ's sakes. And Knapp turns around and says, Jesus Christ, what are you, God? You can walk on fire? I can't. That's Willie. That's Willie Knapp, the legendary Willie Knapp.
Wow.
So he tells Farrell, he said, what are you, God? You can walk on fire? So from that day forward, he was known as God with a little G. That's how he got it.
Hey, Chief, let me ask you this. So you're newly promoted lieutenant, right? I mean, you've only been promoted, 1 year when you were working in '82.
Right.
What was it like? Like, did you feel intimidated when you? I mean, obviously, I was a lieutenant too. I mean, it's intimidating when you're dealing with all these big time guys, right?
Yeah, you know what? I had to go deeper. I had to be the first one through the door, and no mask, and I had to go as deep as they went, and I had to prove myself at every freaking fire. And I'd come back to the firehouse and I'd throw up, and I had a terrible headache, but I had to do that. And I had to do it. You know, when you're a covering officer, you were a covering officer, you walk through the door into a strange company, you walk in the kitchen, the first thing they go to you is they say, hey, Lou, where you working?
Where'd you work? Two questions. How much time you got and where'd you work?
Yeah,
exactly.
You in the truck or the engine? I said, I'm with the little guys. Oh, you're with the little guys. So you're in the engine. No, I'm in the truck just to break their truck. And then they'd say, so they go like this, where'd you work? Where'd you work?
Where'd you work?
Yeah. You got to, they want the background check immediately. So, so if you were in the engine, oh, you were slow engine. Oh, you were in a truck, a little better. But if you were in a Bonton outfit, they say, oh, okay. Then you go out the door, you have to prove yourself at that fire. You come back, an hour later, you go to another job. Guess what? Forget the last fire. You got to prove yourself at the next fire. And you got to prove yourself, and you are intimidated. And you say to yourself, please, God, let me get through the tour without embarrassing myself and getting anybody hurt.
The reason I asked you that, Chief, was because when I got assigned to 290, I came out of 288 and I got assigned to 290. And my first job was 3-story. It was a mechanic shop on the first floor, roll down gates, chugging seeping out of everywhere. And my first thought was, I got to be the first guy in there, and I got to go and find this thing wherever it was. And you know what? I did it. And, from that point on, I always felt like you have to prove yourself at every
They're watching you, bro.
They're watching you, right? I mean, that was the truth.
I mean, if you have a guy like this is Tommy Walsh right here staring at you. What do you think you're going to do? For crying out loud?
Tommy's smoking. Tommy never wore a mask, and he never wore boots. And he's no kid. And he was there through all the war years in the 60s and the 70s. And he was no kid. He just died. He was 92 years old.
Wow.
He was probably the oldest guy in the battalion and tough as nails.
Hey, Ruffy, he looks like the guy on our shirt that says, I drink beer, I fight fire, I know things. Doesn't that look like
that? That is exactly.
It does look like that, actually. It does. The same type of helmet is popped up a little bit like that.
And very humble, very low key, just a great piece of work.
God.
Yeah. And you have the picture of those old timers today there?
I do. Let me find that while you.
Look at poor Petey.
I'm
Chief
going
is-
to 50.
He's
I have
working
to
tonight,
say-
baby.
I
He's
wanna
working
say
tonight.
this. The chief,
I'm
Chief
earning
D, I have to say, you are the most organized. It was not, usually we don't get this much organization. I mean, although the Squid Man Calamari was organized, he had the reigning champion.
You know what?
but he
You know
was
what I like the
definitely
best? I like that he
All right.
carries on his own timeline. I love it.
Listen,
Yeah, Kev. All you have to do tonight is drink, Kev.
now there's the guy in the middle is Eddie Penna with the brown jacket on. That was the guy in the back of the book, Report from Engine Company 82. The guy to his left or our right, that's Willie Knapp today.
Oh wow.
Okay, to Eddie Penna's right is Louis Andre. That's Robin of Batman and Robin. The two other guys at the table are Nicky and Billy Valenzuela. They're in their picture. They have two brothers who worked in 82. And the guy with his glasses in the back, hanging around his neck with the white shirt, Shimmy Pigeon. We're all guys that were in that book and in Jill Friedman's book. You'll see them in some of the photos that I provided.
And
This was
Eddie
that's
Penn in
Eddie,
the back of that book.
a young Eddie Penn.
Yep.
Wow.
And we went to Charlie McCarthy's funeral. That was at Charlie McCarthy's. Charlie McCarthy, his son, Jimmy McCarthy, is the president of the
union
UFO.
rep. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually had been talking to him, Chief. We were actually going to get his
Jimmy?
father on. Yeah, we were going to get his father on like within like a couple of weeks,
week.
and he passed away. Yeah.
It was
Horrible.
legendary. They called him Woodenhead because, well, there was a ventriloquist back in the day, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Charlie McCarthy was the dummy.
I like
So
it.
that's why he got the name Woodenhead.
That's great.
I like it.
I actually I got the journal in the back from when I was covering in 1976 and 82. And then Bob Farrell makes an entry. Fireman Woodenhead removed to the hospital. I got it in writing back here. Charlie was some piece of work, man. He was great. And he was the master of ceremonies every year at our Christmas parties.
Hey, Chief, when guys like that get together, do they sit down and talk fire stories? Or
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's great. We 82 and 31, 73 and 42, every year used to have a Christmas party together. They used to have it in Throg's Neck, but now they go up to Yonkers. They used to have it in German Stadium and all that, and the bar in Throg's Neck, but those places are all gone. So now they go up to that, McLean Avenue up in Yonkers,
Yeah.
the Irish bar. Unfortunately, a lot of the old timers aren't there anymore, And last year, because of COVID, we didn't have it. But, a lot of them are gone. And like Charlie McCarthy was a legend, he's gone. And Bob Farrell is going to be, I think he's 91. And he's still got all his hair. And he's incredible. He works every day. Yep. And I'll get into him a little bit later. But these guys were freaking legends, and I got to work with them. But like you said, on our job, it's the only job in the world. You're only, it's like Philippe the bridge builder. Build 100 bridges, right? But you make one mistake. That's the only thing they remember you for, right? So you got to prove yourself at every job. But anyway,
the only good thing about back then was the jobs were so frequent. You could redeem yourself within an hour or two, right? Not like
without a doubt, yeah. But you make one mistake, you remember that, man. Yeah. And if you, God forbid, you burn. They used to call people, how's things on the floor, but they call Frankie floor below or things like that. Very derogatory shit. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as Frankie Floorbelow. That's for sure.
Chief, I got to ask you.
Floor below Joe.
You're a very straight shooter and an honest guy. Did you make a mistake that they remembered you for, and did they break your chops about it?
Not that I recall. I don't think I ever made it. Well, no, I made a lot of mistakes. Ask my wife. But in the job, no. I always, no, never met. I was lucky. Why? I had the best fireman in the world working for me. So it's not that I didn't make a mistake. I didn't have to say anything.
Right.
They just got off the rig and did their job. you know.
It's
And then when
Disney
I was
World.
I was a company officer, you know, I had enough. I've been to 1,000 fires. I knew what I was doing, you know. I used to tell them, I went to 38 Engine. You couldn't get a spot in the South Bronx. You had to know somebody in those days, you know. So I wound up going to 38 Engine. Great company, great house. It's in the top 25 today. One thing about 38 Engine, you remember Rescue Me, the series?
Yeah.
Well, in that, the chief was Jack McGee, right? He played the chief. He was my probie in 38 Engine, Jack McGee.
Wow.
After 10 years on the job, he quit the job and he went to Hollywood.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah,
I
he
didn't know
put 10
that.
years. That's me in 38 Engine. Jack McGee was 10 years and he went to Hollywood. He packed the job in.
Chief, that looks just like Joey, man. It's so scary.
Yeah, he looks like your
Yeah.
son, exactly.
I'm sure
No
people
doubt
have
about
told
it.
you that, yeah.
Yeah.
Good looking fella there you are, huh?
Yeah, look at that guy.
I
You
used to
got
have
the
hair,
chops
too.
working. You got the chops
Yeah.
working. Not bad.
A lot of my
Who's this?
probies in 38 went on to become officers and chiefs, and I'm very proud of that, you know,
Yeah.
that I got up there and I worked with them. And I used to tell them, see this, don't go, never go past me. You're going to have the nozzle. I'm going to be next to you. But never go past me because, you know, I was breaking them in. I didn't want them to get hurt. Now they're my responsibility. Okay, in 79, I get promoted. I go to captain. I make captain, right? So I figured I worked in Manhattan. I worked in the Bronx. They'll probably send me to Brooklyn, I hope. No, where do they send me? Back to Manhattan.
Back to Manhattan.
First Division, covering in the First Division, Lower Manhattan. Okay. I can unequivocally make this statement. The hardest place I ever worked in a job is the First Division and the
No
Third
doubt.
Division in Manhattan,
No doubt.
without a doubt. The diversity of the structures and the complexity of the fires and the occupancies is like holy mackerel down here. You know, they don't have a lot of fires, but when they do, it's anything but routine, you know?
Yeah.
And it's in a
So-
triple sub cellar. By the way, I'm out on that.
I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm covering again. I got to go through the whole thing again. I got to establish my reputation. I got to go to fires and make my rep. A couple of fires that come to mind. I'm covering in Manhattan. I get a fire at the Marriott Hotel. No, the Marriott, the one that was between the two. We get a fire. I don't know what floor. I'm in a truck company. We pop the door. There's 25 mattresses. They're storing mattresses in one room. 25 mattresses going. I run back. I get the house line. We turn on the house line. It's very weak. I got my thumb on the end of the house line.
like a
Like
gun
this.
nose.
Right. I'm in there. I'm down. You can imagine that's hot as hell. I'm in there and I'm screaming on the radio, charge the goddamn standpipe. They had to stretch across West Street to charge the standpipe. I'm in the freaking room. The windows blow from the heat. They blow out. The whole room lights up. I retreat. You know, then they finally charge the standpipe. We put the fire out. So the chief says, that nice job, Capt. Says, that piece of cake. No problem. Somebody said subcell, right? We get a job on Broadway, right? We go to the job, smoke throughout the building. Guys have trucks are on the first floor, second floor. They're walking up. And I said, I remember reading an article. Commercial building, smoke throughout. Check the sub-cellar.
Go down.
So I go down to the basement, then I go down to the cellar, and then I go down to the sub-cellar. It's roaring down there. Sub-cellar.
Oh,
I said, hey, get a line down to the sub-cellar. We got up. It's roaring down here. You know, so they put the fire out. Then the deputy says, nice job, Cap. That's 2 attaboys I got.
That's more than an attaboy. A
We
triple
get a
sub cellar.
job.
You better get more than an attaboy.
Yeah, we get a job in a loft, commercial loft. And we got lines going in and towel ladders, okay? And another thing I read in a book once. If you don't have remember when you had jobs in commercial and you towel ladder them, all the water's running down the stairs like a waterfall?
Yep.
You know, I noticed there's no water running down the stairs.
Where's it all going?
Where's it going? Where's it going? It's being absorbed by the stock. It's contributing water's almost 8 pounds a gallon.
Oof.
How much weight is the towel ladder putting in? A lot of weight. The deputy standing outside, the battalion chief, I forget his name, he wasn't that well liked. But anyway, the deputy outside is a guy named Brian Clinton, who was a chief in a 4-4 in the heyday, and he was a safety battalion chief. He really knew what he was doing, Brian. I run up to the deputy, he said, Chief, there's no water runoff. We're going to have a collapse here. He said, pull everybody out of the building. Mayday, mayday. He pulls everybody out. He gives me a nice job, Cap. Oh boy, that's my third attaboy. I'll tell you.
Oh,
we get a fly in
that's
the
more than I
subway.
got my whole career.
Ever have a fire in the subway? I tell you, I had fires. I'm thinking about, I've had numerous fires in the subway, but I had one on Houston Street once. The station is about 300 yards long. I have a whole subway car going. And what's in the subway? The seats are all plastic, right? Car's made out of aluminum. It's burning. I get down the stairs. I go in about 100 feet. I take a whiff. Ugh. My throat goes closed. I said, Proby, give me your mask. I didn't have a mask. Put the mask. I said, go get some masks. We wind up putting the fire out, but that was a terrible fire. And the deputy came in and said, guess what?
Nice
job, Cap. You guys are getting it now, right? You guys are getting it. We get a fire in a tenement. We get a fire in a tenement on like Mulberry or something. And those days we had a signal called 1030. Did you guys have that when you were in the 1030? No, 1030 meant you had a working fire. Didn't mean 1075 that you wanted 3 engines and 2 trucks. 1030 was a working fire. I pull up, fire's blowing out one window. I transmit at 1030. We go up. I think I was covered in 55 engine. We go up one room, put the fire out. Battalion chief calls me down. Hey, Cap, how you doing up there? Fire's out, chief. Come down, report to the unit street. So,
boy.
I walk down 5 flights.
There goes all your attaboys.
I was just going to yank one of them away.
He says, hey, Cap. He says, why didn't you transmit a 1075? I said, well, chief, I looked up at the window. The fire was coming out one window. You know what that tells me? The fire's in one room. One room requires one line, and we put the fire out. If the fire was out 2 windows, I would have transmitted a 1075. He looks at me, he says, very good, Cap. Attaboy, Cap.
Nobody's counting. 4.
Yeah, it's 1030, logical. It's out one room, one line, one fire, right? No problem. I'm making my bones with Brian Clinton, Bob Bloom, and those guys. They all worked in busy areas. I'm getting my reputation, right? I'm hanging out, I'm covering a vacation in 24 and 5. And I'm having lunch with Chief Bloom. He was a South Bronx fire chief and a fire officer. Great guy. I get a run up, going up north. I won't tell you the battalion or anything. Guy's waving at the intersection. We go to the intersection. I see a guy waving. I go down the block. He says, fire in that room. I go in. I can smell it. It's food on the stove. I kick in the door. There's a pot on the stove. I take the pot off the stove. Put it on the thing over here. Get the towel. I wet it. Put the thing on. And then the truck comes in. I said, food on the stove. I got it. Battalion. Well, I have to say the number. No, Battalion X to ladder 5. What do you got? So I go, 924 to Battalion X. It's food on the stove, 1018. Battalion X to ladder 5. What do you got?
Oh my God! I'll kill somebody.
Engine 24 to Battalion X. 1018. Food on the stove. Battalion X to ladder 5.
way.
What do you got? I said, oh shit. Let me go. Well, I said, I look at the guy in the truck. He goes, I'm a captain. He's a lieutenant. He goes like that. So I go, let me go talk to this guy. I walk out. Hey, Chief, don't you hear what I'm saying? I'm telling you, 1018 for food on the stove. He says, Lieutenant, what are you doing in the building? What do you mean, what am I doing in the building? I came to the intersection. The guy was waving me in. I went in, food on the stove.
Very familiar.
Yeah. I said, Chief. He said, in this battalion, you report to the intersection and you wait for me to give you instructions.
Oh,
And I looked at him and I said, can I curse on this show?
You said
absolutely.
I said to him, are you shitting me? He said, what did you say? I said, that's the most idiotic thing I ever heard of. The guy was just waving me in. What am I supposed to do? Stand there and wait for you to tell me what to do with my job? And I know how to do my job. With that, the Red Sea parted. Everybody left the area. We got into each other's faces. And I called him, derogatory remarks. He said,
I am. You didn't put your finger in his chest or anything like that, did you?
No. Yeah, I said,
I would never.
I called him derogatory names, and he said, I'm hooking you up for disrespect. I said, be my guest. I go back to quarters. I don't say anything. Next thing I know, the deputy says, come up to the office, Cap. I want to talk to you. The deputy's Bob Bloom, South Bronx Fire Chief. So what happened at that run with Chief X? I said, that freaking moron? Let me tell you what happened. And I tell him the story. He said, that guy's a moron. He picks up the phone because the chief called him to hook me up. He calls him on the phone. He says, you're a moron. Leave my captains alone. Hangs up the phone.
Wow.
That Bob Bloom backed me up.
Holy
so
smokes.
I had to.
Well, how could you not back up that? I mean, that's ridiculous.
The guy was a moron. So
absolutely ridiculous.
I'll tell you, paybacks are a bitch. Because a couple of years later, now I'm a covering deputy in the same area, right? We get a snotty high-rise job, right? I go in. It's a 10. It's a, I go in a 1075 because I'm bored. So I go in. He's standing. This chief
now
is
you're
standing.
his boss.
Yeah, he's standing in the lobby. I walk through the door. He looks at me, and he recognizes me, and I know who it is. And I said, what do you got, Chief? He said, I got this, that. I said, I go up to the fire floor and give me your report. It's snotty up there. It's nasty.
Nice.
I said, I said, go to the fire apartment, walk around and give me your report. The elevators are out. The fire's on like the 8th or 10th floor.
Nice.
Paybacks are a bitch in life. Let me tell you. Another time I run into this chief. Tommy Neary, the legend, is the captain of 23 Engine now, right? We got a manhole job in the street, right? The gases go through the conduit into the building, into the service room. Okay. Neary's in the truck. And the battalion chief, my friend, they walk down the stairs with the company. They walk down the hallway. They open the service room door.
On fire.
Neary puts the light switch on. The room blows. It blew. The explosion was so big it cracked the steps going down to the basement. Oh. It picks that battalion chief up, blows him into the elevators. He takes the elevator doors off and lands in the pit. Wow. Neary gets severely burnt. Okay, I'm a covering deputy in the 3rd Division. I was surplus. The regular deputy sends me to the hospital to coordinate their injuries and make sure everybody's okay. Neary's head is they look like a giant pumpkin. His eyebrows, his hair's all burnt off. He's severely burnt. I'm checking on Neary. Then I go into the next room. The battalion chief, he was okay because it was the cellar and he only fell a couple of feet, but he was, he's banged up a little, but he was okay. I go in. I bring the nurses with me, and I'm overbearingly checking to make sure that he's all right. And he knows who I am, and I know who he is. But he couldn't even look me in the eye. So you know what? There's a lesson learned here. Always be nice to people on your way up because you might meet them on the way down.
Yep.
So,
Hey, Chief, what I wanted to ask you? I never heard that story, and I know that we've always, as we go to gas leaks now, the first thing, right? You never, they don't even want you transmitting. Now that the radios are intrinsically safe, but before that, right? They didn't want you transmitting on. Yeah, anything, even your light or the switch. Yeah, is that where that came from?
It was a manhole.
No, I understand. I got it.
No, who would think that the gases would have got into a high-rise building?
I'm saying because now that's like a main thing that we did was if there's a manhole, right, you have to check all the basements, you have to check all the services and all that stuff. I'm just thinking maybe that's a job that I never heard from. Yeah, I never heard of that
I'm
story.
telling you, the steps were cracked. The explosion was so tremendous. All right, then I got 33 engine as a captain. You got a picture
This
of
is
me
easy,
and
Pete.
Hey, I mean, it's been a cakewalk all night long, you know.
Oh,
But I do
yeah.
have a couple questions. I have a couple of pictures here that I need, ultimately down the road. I mean, you keep going, Chief.
Okay, 33 engine opens up. I go there as a captain. Another great house. It's great guys. I take Joey in with me because it's my house. I get into a study group, with Tony Fusco, who becomes chief of department. We study for battalion chief together for 23 months. I studied like 7 days a week. I didn't know how to study for civil service. When I studied for lieutenant and captain, I went to Delahanty's and I did the homework. And like high school, I didn't do my homework. But at Delahanty's, I would do the homework and then I closed the books. But that's not how you study if you want to really write a great mark. The civil service, you study 7 days a week. I study with Fusco and his son. He goes on and becomes chief of department. I write a 92 on the chief's test, like the second highest mark. I didn't have any seniority, but I come out like 15 on the list or 14. And I get made, the list comes out, I get made the first day. I'm a battalion chief, okay? So 1981, I'm a battalion chief.
Wow.
So I wonder where I go. I've been in the Bronx, Manhattan, the Bronx, Manhattan. Please God, let me go to Brooklyn. I get assigned to the 11th Division of Brooklyn. Oh man, I'm happy as anything. My first assignment, I do a vacation in the 4-4 when it was hats and horns over there, The captain of 120 truck is Sal Russo. You've heard of Sal Russo, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The legendary Sal Russo. And there was the aide in the 4-4. My aide was the guy named, they called him Ratso. He was another legend, Ratso. And,
Ratso, yeah.
Okay, so now I went from, as a captain, as a lieutenant, as a fireman, I had a job. As a lieutenant, I had a company. As a captain, I had a company. I had a specific area to fire. Now I'm battalion chief. I got the whole ball of wax, right? I never had any formal training. Never. I never been to OITS as a lieutenant. I never had training as a captain. I never went to school as a battalion chief. So now today they have all that, which is great.
Right,
I had what they call on the job training. So I go to the 4-4 and I just keep you don't have to tell the guys what to do. You get out of the car, they're doing it. My responsibility is to make sure I keep my men safe. If they need more help, I get them more help. If they need relief, I get them relief. If I might have to transmit an additional alarm, eyes and ears open. Don't do anything stupid. Make sure everybody goes home, right? So that's, and I kept a notebook when I made battalion chief. Every time I went to a fire, I would go back to the firehouse I write down, what did I do good? What could have I done better? And I would write that down. Like I said, okay, should have done a 360 at this job, or I should have done this, or I should have gone with my instincts. When my mind told me I didn't like the color of the smoke. Go for another alarm. So I write all this stuff down, and every now and then I would pull it out and read it. So, because I never had formal training in the fire.
You still have those notebooks, Chief?
I got, somebody asked me about that. Jason Bresler, Leadership on the Fire?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes.
Well, what's his name from 26 Truck? The guy from 26. I sound like Biden, don't I? The guy that thing. The guy.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Whatever his name is, he asked me the same question. I have to look for that because
come on, man.
Come on, the guy, the thing, whatever.
The thing.
The guy, the thing, whatever.
Same guy.
Same guy. So anyway, I observe. I'm learning my job. They send me over to 3-4 Battalion to do Murphy's medical leave. He passed away. Great house. I'm with Dennis Cross. You guys remember Dennis Cross?
Yep, I was assigned to the 5-7, Chief.
Ladder 102. Dennis got killed. They make an ADC that day. He gets killed. What a shame at 9/11, right? Eddie Garrity was a fireman, a junior fireman in 102. Eddie was single guy, great guy. I had a lot of work with those guys. Great house. Murphy's dies. They fill a spot. I go over to the 5-7 for a chief named Duffy, who was one of the guys that was forming SOC at the time. I had, one good fire from those days. I had a job on Bedford and Atlantic. The taxpayers as long as the block. Exposure 2 was a 5-story tenement, rug company on the first floor, storage above. Exposure 4 are 3 2-story buildings, multiple dwellings that the taxpayer wraps around. Okay? We go out, smoke in the air, I could smell it. I transmit, we get up there, I transmit a second on arrival. Okay, we're trying to go in the stores. I got lines operating, moving in, and we couldn't get a towel out or in. We finally got a towel. We're using stangs. We're not making any progress. The staff chief comes in, the fire duty chief. He transmits a third. Okay, what's happening here is that one of the stores was T-shaped. In other words, it goes in and it wraps behind the other stores. So you're operating a stang in this store and a stang in this store, and it's only going back to the wall. It's not hitting the fire over here, right?
Straight back. Right,
well, we don't know that, you know. We're cutting the roof and doing everything, and it's burning through the nogging into the tenement, but we don't know this.
Ooh.
I tell the chief, the fire duty chief, I won't give you his name, but his nickname was Skippy. It was Skippy. He's an assistant chief. They call him Skippy because he used to skip around a lot of things. He skipped around a lot of things. I'm telling him, Skippy. I didn't say Skippy. He said, Chief, you got to transmit the fourth. Now, he doesn't want to transmit the fourth because
Skippy.
The fire duty chief's got the third. Then you have the fourth alarm chief comes in, right? And then the fifth alarm is the chief of the department. Fourth alarm is chief of operations. He doesn't want chief of operations come in. We're standing there. It burns through in the rear into the tenement. Fire all of a sudden blowing out the second and third floor of the tenement. He looks. He almost faints. He transmits the fourth. Make a long story short, that building wound up collapsing at this fire. Now,
oh my God!
You get up on the roof. So I go up on the roof. And I got rescue squad, rescue 2, squad 1, bunch of truck guys. Let's retreat over here and cut a trench. Trench on a taxpayer roof. We cut a trench. The fire comes to us. We stop the fire right there. We saved the 3-story, the 3 PDs over here. Not PDs.
Oh, the PDs.
3. No, they weren't PDs. There were 2 3-story buildings. 3-story buildings. We saved them. Anyway, let me tell you about this fire. It was such a complicated, messed up fire that they used my fire report on the deputy chief's test. On the essay part, when they give a fire on the deputy's test, I wrote a detailed fire report on this, and they used that on a deputy chief's promotion exam, my fire report. So I'm very proud of that. That was what you call an attaboy.
I'll give you an attaboy. Attaboy, Chief. Great job.
Hold on.
That was.
I would have put we done good or didn't do good.
I gotta ask because we're getting into we're getting into the time here, but my goodness, there's a couple of things. I want you to tell us about this fire because I thought it was pretty funny. The story you told me. About
all right, this is the coffin factory in the Bronx. I had this many times.
Coffin factory.
It was Old Mills Construction. I didn't have this particular fire, but I had fires similar to this many times. This was on the cover of Firehouse magazine. The 14th Battalion had this. Eamon Killian's the aide. He's from the other side. He's got an Irish brogue. You can't understand what he's saying half the time. So anyway, he fires out like 87 windows. So the Bronx says to the Battalion 414 says, we need a size up. Give us a size up. He says, Beat Jesus, I'll give you a size up. The size is massive. It's a massive fire, Beat Jesus. So anyway, that's the size.
He ain't lying.
Yeah, and that was Eamon Killian, and they tell that story up in the Bronx. In the 14th Battalion, many a time.
How does it get to that? How does it get to that point? Like, how does it get to that point? Like,
so he put this out. You know how many times I've been to this place probably 20 times, and you know what? They made it into condos. It never burnt down.
Wow,
is that right? Never collapsed.
Old mill construction.
No
old
shit.
mill construction. Yeah.
Like that's every goddamn. It's every window.
Yeah, if you
Every
count them,
window.
I think it's 78 windows if you count them.
Oh
Holy
my God.
shit!
That's nothing.
That's crazy. That's
Okay.
nothing.
That's nothing.
How much time do I have?
Plenty.
Go ahead.
You got some
Go
time.
ahead.
You got time.
All right. I go to the I get assigned to the 2A Battalion, 124, 271, Great House. My lieutenants are Pete Gansey, Chief of Department, Jimmy Ellison, a father, George Isa, the father,
Wow.
and Georgie Waldall, the captain. I got three best lieutenants in the job. They're all legends, and their sons are all in the job today, right?
Yes.
I got firefighters like Danny Buckeye there, right? And I, like I told you before, if I was ever in a bad spot, I would want Danny Buckeye to be on the scene because he would go through a wall and get me out and get you out. One of the smartest, toughest firemen I ever worked with. I got Swigert, Patty Lee, Richie Wachowski,
Swagger, right?
Bobby Schaefer, and Dennis Conway in 111, McCarthy in 112. I got all these legendary guys I'm working. John Marr in 218. But you know, Bushwick is fire. It's like fire on steroids. Row frames, multiple alarms up the giggy, man. We go out. I'm telling you. You know, Gasoline Gomez is going around burning the neighborhood down.
Gomez.
He was gasoline in the stairways. He'd go up, hit the roof, go left and right. My aide was Steve Muzziello. Did you guys know Steve Muzziello? He was Gansey's
No, I
aide.
didn't.
He lived through the both collapses, but Steve unfortunately passed away of 9/11 cancer. I'll tell you a couple of fire stories from Bushwick. One day, I get in, it's transmitted second on arrival. I said, baby, this one's going down the block. It's already up the stairs, right? It's on the top floor. I know it's going into 4 and 2 and 4, right? Like transmit the second. A covering lieutenant comes into me. What do you want, Chief? You want me to take you? I said, stretch the line into 4A. He said, what about 4? I said, listen, do what I tell you. You take a hook. You stretch a line. Get in 4A, pull the ceilings, and start water as soon as you can. Then the other companies come in. I send them into 2 and 4. Make a long story short, we stop it in 2 and 4A. By the time they got the line in 4, it already passed them.
Yeah, it was already passed.
Blah, 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 blah.
Always that way.
The lieutenant comes down. He said, Jesus Christ, Chief, how did you know as soon as I got the ceiling down, the fire was going to be there? I said, because I've been to like 100 of these things, you know.
And we don't do good.
We know what we're doing here. You go up, you take the returns out, right? You go in the exposure, you take the returns out by the scuttle. You look down, oh shit, here it comes. You know?
Right.
So another time we go out and we go 1075, 124 is crawling in. I forget the guy's name. I think he was a plumber, big strong guy. And all of a sudden he says, I got one. 1045.
Yeah.
So I yelled to Steve. You know, one thing in those days, when you get a 1045, they have a time frame. I think it was 13 minutes. From the time of the box to the time you transmitted the 1045. If it was more than 13 minutes, they had to do an investigation. So as soon as I heard 1045, I yelled to Steve, transmit 1045, code 3. And he immediately does that. Then I hear, cancel that 1045. What do you mean cancel the 1045? I made a mistake. What do you mean you made a mistake? Come on in, Chief. I'm embarrassed. I go in. What happened? The guy crawled in and he saw a leg. Right? So he grabbed the leg and he said, 1045. We transmitted the 1045. Turned out to be a prosthetic leg.
Oh my God. Hey, Chief, Patty Lee is in the chat. He was in 124. He said that guy is Bobby Mechia, maybe it was? Mechia?
Yeah.
And Patty Lee. Patty Lee
he was great. He's about 6'8". I used to stand next to him. I'd make a left look and I'd look at his belt buckle. He's a great guy, Patty.
Hey.
I tell you, they were big guys in 124 truck. Okay, another job. I'll tell you another story, another job. I'm going. They transmit a second alarm on arrival somewhere in, I'm the all hands chief. So I'm rushing over there. And on the way there, Bushwick and Barrett. Standalone 5-story tenement. Fire out the second-story windows. I called the dispatch. I said, Bushwick and Barrett, transmit the box. 1075, fire out the second story window. Do you want me to continue into the second or you want me to stay here? He said, stay there. Okay. I'm the only person on the scene. I tell Steve, tell the companies what to do. I'm going in. So I go into the second floor. I'm banging on the doors. I close the fire apartment door. I'm banging on the doors on the second floor. Fuego, fuego, bomberos, fuego. Everybody, pronto. Get out, get out. I go up to the third floor. I'm banging on the door. I'm banging on the door. Everybody, fuego. I bang on the door. The guy opens the door. Oh, fuego, pronto. Get out. He goes, uno momento. He turns around and walks away. I said to him, where's this dude going? And he goes and he's opening the door. I don't know what he's doing. All of a sudden, this huge Doberman Pinson leaps out of the back room. Okay? Now, I read all the training bulletins on dogs. If you are confronted with a dog, do not run. First thing, you never run. Second thing, offer something to the dog for him to bite on. Offer resistance, so you'll have a tug of war with the dog. I read all this. I know this. I know this like the back of my hand. First thing I did is, you know what I did? I turned around and started to run. Next thing I know, I feel these paws on my shoulder. I said, I'm dead. Luckily, what happened is the guy went to get his dog, but luckily he had a muzzle on him. He wanted to get his dog to get him out of the building. I tell you, I was scared. I was scared, as they say.
I was scared.
I'm banging on doors. I run down. 124 and 271 come in, and I tell them, look, got to get in and make a search. Watch out for that dog on the third floor. I told them I made a search on the second and third, but they didn't get above. Now, I see this. I go to Steve. I said, where is everybody? I transmit a second. Where is everybody? What happened was everybody that was coming from the west to my box stopped at the other fire, which was 2 blocks away. So the only companies we got were companies coming from the east. So I'm there with 124 and 271 alone. Finally, I said, transmit a third alarm. Finally, we got some companies in. And, it wound up second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, through the roof. 124 went up. Angelo Catalano, he was in 120. They called him the Nose. Did you know him? No. The Nose. He took the roof, and then we had to get off the roof. They called him the Nose for some reason. And so the deputy came from the 13th Division. This deputy went on to become chief of department. Nice guy. He comes up to me, and sometimes he said people have to say something just because they have to say something. So instead of not saying anything, he says to me, did you get the roof? I looked at him and said, Chief,
what roof?
Chief, the fire, what roof? The fire's through the roof. Any other questions? And he said, oh, no, keep up the good work. Here's a good one. We get a job on, we're going down to Wyckoff, and Wyckoff had a dip in it. My son's riding in 124 with George Isaac, right? I forget who the chauffeur was. I think it was Van Johnson was the chauffeur. Isaac was a lieutenant. My son's riding in the middle. There's a dip on Wyckoff where if you're doing, they gave it 1075, so they hit the metal, right? They hit the pedal to the metal. So when you go through this dip, the power ladder takes off. So it takes off, it lands, the Scott mass breaks loose, hits my son in the head, knocks him out.
Oh my
son's out cold in the front seat. So they're there, wake up, holy shit, we killed the chief's son, wake up, kid, wake up. So he wakes up anyway. They used to have this cartoon in 124 with my son knocked out in it, and they tell that story at all the probies, at all the parties. Speaking of probies, did you guys know Richie Beanstein?
No.
Richie Beanstein? Okay, he was a probie in 271, lieutenant in 42 truck, captain in I think he was a chief in the 38, retired a deputy. First tour in 271, he pulls up, we're out at a job, right? He's got a van. He parks his van a little past the firehouse. They're standing there waiting, couple of probies. 271 pulls up, they get off, open the door, black smoke comes rolling out of the firehouse. Holy shit, the firehouse is on fire, right? So the chauffeur goes to put it in pumps, and he puts it in drive or whatever he did. The rig takes off down the block, drives right into the Proby's van and demolishes it.
I did hear that story.
You heard the story, right?
Yeah.
Somebody told us the
stretch
story.
the line, they put the fire out, the whole kitchen's gone. And the Proby's just standing there like, holy shit, what's going on? They put the fire out, they go, is it like this all the time? Yeah, it's like this all the time. This is just another day. Oh, what about my van over here? Or they go, no problem. They pick up the phone. The shops comes with a wrecker. They tow this van to the shops. They do a complete work over on his van, and they rebuild this whole van. That was how Richie Beamstein, welcome to the firehouse. Okay, so now.
Hey, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, Chief, I wanted to say Johnny Walters sent me a text earlier.
That guy. Peg leg.
Yeah.
Peg leg.
Peg leg. He wanted to know about a story with the freezer or something. He was telling me something.
Oh, I'll give you that one. That's when I make deputy. I'll give you the freezer.
Oh, all right. That's wondering why.
Okay, so now I'm a battalion chief, and so I'm a battalion chief a short time, and the deputy's test comes out, right? So I studied so hard for battalion chief, I take the deputy's test, and I passed the freaking thing, because I guess I remembered so much because I studied so hard. Only 18 guys passed the test. That was a tough test. So they figured, 18 guys, we can't have another test. So we'll make some changes, and all that crap. They make changes. So we go from 18 to 27. I come out 16 on the list. Okay, I get made in May of '84, deputy. Okay, I'm assigned to Bureau of Operations as a planning officer. Now I see how.
Yuck.
Yeah, I know. I see how headquarters is working. How the decisions are made in headquarters, how things come down. I'm working for Lou Harris and Homer Bishop. Famous Homer Bishop, you guys heard his name, right? Homer was a really tough guy. Never smiled, made all the tough decisions. Everybody was afraid of Homer. He made a lot of really tough decisions, and he was not very well liked. So I was, I couldn't wait to get out of there. 250 Livingston Street, we had headquarters. It was a dump. Out of town chiefs come in. It was embarrassing. One story I can tell you about Homer Bishop. Everybody was afraid of Homer. He was a tough guy. He closed all the companies. He's the famous New Year's Day Super Bowl party when he called the company down and they locked the firehouse.
176.
Yeah, so that's the Homer Bishop. So he had no sense of humor. So I said, one day I'm in a stationery store. I see this giant cardboard monkey was advertising. I asked the guy, can I have that monkey? He said, yeah, you can have the monkey. I take it in to work with me in the office. I said, I got to do something with this. And Homer used to come in the suit in the morning, open up his secretary's desk, reach in and get the keys, unlock his door, go into his office, put his uniform on. So I said, this is interesting. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I got in real early with the monkey. I unlocked Homer's office, opened his office thing, put his shirt on the monkey with his 4 stars, his tie, and I took his name tag and put Bishop on the monkey's chest. Everybody says, you're crazy. He's going to send you to Staten Island. You're crazy. I said, don't worry. Where everybody's watching. Homer comes in the morning. Oh, first of all, he walks down the hallway, doesn't say good morning to anybody, never smiles. Goes over to the secretary desk, gets the key, opens the door, opens a closet door like this, stands there for a minute, reaches in, gets his uniform, everything, gets dressed. He said, turns around, he says, have DiBernardo come to see me. He said, don't you have anything better to do? I said, Chief, I thought I would liven your day up. He said, get out of my office. But I swear, yeah, he had a smile on. A lot of people doubt that, but I think he smiled. You know, that's the monkey story.
I don't think that would go over good today.
No. So I get finished up there in operations. They send me out to the 13th Division to do a medical leave for Chief Jimmy Joyce, who winds up passing away. I'm getting in the way out there, mostly PDs. I'm really not doing anything. So there's an opening in the Bronx. The division commander, 13th, wants me to stay. The borough wants me to say, you're crazy. You go to, you're closer to home. You don't have to pay a toll, easy work. I said, no, thanks. I really want to, get a little more action. And the Bronx borough commander at the time was a very tough guy, always lifting guys, hooking up guys. He even hooked up Vinny Dunn. He was going to transfer Vinny Dunn. Now, you all know Vinny Dunn, right? Mm-hmm. Legendary Vinny Dunn, right? Written about 10 books. Okay, him and this borough commander get into a fight one night, an argument. So he said, this guy, let's call him the Dud. The Dud is going to lift Vinny Dunn, who's the greatest chief in the world. He said, I'm going to lift you. So Vinny said, you do whatever you want. I don't care. Vinny's in the 7th Division at the time. So chief of department is John O'Rourke, the great John O'Rourke from 120 Truck and the 4-4 and all that stuff.
Never heard
Vinny and John are friends. You've heard of John O'Rourke. So Vinny calls up John, chief of department, says, hey, listen, I had a fight with the Dud. He's gonna lift me. So do me a favor. Transfer me on the order tonight, quickly. Transfer me. Where do you want to go? I want to go to the 3rd Division. Okay. You're transferred to the 3rd Division. Okay. So Dudley comes in the morning. He calls up Vinny, says, report to my office. He said, why would I do that? Because I'm ordering you to. He said, I don't work for you. What do you mean you don't work for me? I'm going to have you lifted. Well, you can't have me lifted. You're not my boss. What do you mean I'm not your boss? I work in the 3rd Division. You're not in charge of the 3rd Division. Dudley had a stroke. The chief of department that Vinny transferred that night before Dudley got to work. So that's the way anyway. So anybody knows? Yeah. I got a million stories you didn't hear. And half of them I can't tell. But anyway, nobody wanted to go to the Bronx because of this borough commander. So it was very easy for me to go to the Bronx. So I go to Washington Avenue, and you have a photo of Washington Avenue.
I sure do.
That's the 6th Division, right?
Yeah, 6th Division. I'm with 50 and 19. The guys are the absolute best.
That's where you met Mikey Milner.
Oh, yeah. Mike had transferred to 4, I think. But those are the 4.
Did Mikey have his perm when you met him?
I'll tell you, I'm in Fire Chief's heaven up there. The greatest guys in the world. I'll tell you some funny stories from this joint. You know Tony Chicarico?
Yep.
Yes, of course.
You know Tony, right? Okay, Tony's on house watch. I come back from a job, 3 o'clock in the morning. Used to pull up in front of these quarters. I'd go, whoop, hit the sign, whoop. The door would open up. The door doesn't open up. I go, whoop. The door doesn't open up. I get out of the car, open the door. Tony's on watch. He's flat out asleep, snoring. I said, oh, okay. So we pull the car in, and he doesn't even wake up. So I write him a note. I put a note on his chest. I write him a note. I said, if you were the Viet Cong, you would be dead now. So now the guys are all breaking Tony's chop. So they're all laughing and everything. So the next night tour, Chicarico and all of them, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm laying down, and I was a very light sleeper, and I hear giggling and laughing. And I see them. They're all slithering on their belly into my bunk room. They're going to surprise me and get me. So just as they came through the door, I jumped out of bed and went, ah! I screamed at them, and they all ran back to the bunk room. That's my Tony. Now, this is the freezer story. Billy Pascula. Billy Pascula is one of the toughest nozzle men I ever met in a job. Little tiny guy, tough as nails, crazy guy. Now, they used to, every time we had a covering officer or a covering chief in 50 and 19 or the division, the refrigerator, they used to take the handle from the refrigerator and put it on the other side.
Opposite side, right? Yeah.
Opposite sides. That's Philly Pascula right there. This is my birthday party. I'll tell you a story about that too. Anyway, Philly's nuts. He's crazy. Funny guy. He got hurt at a job once. He was in Jacoby. We had a good job. He got knocked out. I went up to Jacoby to visit him. And go, where's the fireman? They go, room 307. I go down to 307. He's in bed with his girlfriend in the hospital.
Nice.
Yeah, he's crazy. So anyway, he used to go down to the kitchen. Every time we had a covering guy, that we'd switch sides. I don't know if they did it in your house.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, so they go, Chief, ice cream in the kitchen, ice cream in the kitchen. Oh, I can't go down. So they were all sitting there. I said, they switched the handles. Big deal. So I go to open the refrigerator. That's Chief. No, ice cream's in the freezer. What's the matter with you? So, oh, yeah. So I go to open the freezer and I scream. There's a human body in the freezer. Now I'm telling you, this is like a normal size refrigerator. They stuffed Philly Pascagoula in the freezer. Don't ask me how they did it.
Normal size refrigerator.
This is a normal size refrigerator, not a commercial refrigerator. And they got Philly Pascagoula in the freezer.
And he's
I let
freezing.
out a scream. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. But he actually was in the freezer. And if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it.
Little Philly
Birthday party. That birthday party picture, my son tells him, it's my father's birthday, get a cake. So they go get a cake. And you can't read it, but you know what? One of my nicknames up there, they call me the Desert Fox because I used to use Rommel's sayings as a military commander. They go to the local place, and of course, they spelt the desert wrong. They spelt it the dessert fox. So I'm the dessert fox. So of course they didn't have
Thank
any
God for
candles.
civil service.
Yes, so they don't have any candles. There's a beautiful sheet cake that they make. So they go out and they get the road flares, and they put the road flares on the cake, and they let the road flares
God.
on.
Oh my God.
That was the end of the birthday cake. Okay, that was
Is
the
that
birthday party.
Joey in that picture?
No, that's Philly Pascagoula.
The little guy
Crazy
on the
Phil.
left.
Oh, I don't see him. He's probably in it. If you can see him, I can't see him. On
There's
my
two
picture.
guys there. The guy on the right with the boss.
That's the guy, the Nozzleman. That's the
That's
Nozzleman
me.
they stuffed in the freezer.
We're talking about
That guy's a fireman. He looks like a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. That's Philly. Tough as nails. One of the toughest nozzlemen you ever want to meet.
Wow.
I thought it was your son.
No, that's Philly.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay, here's another funny story. Jack, we get a job, and we lost like 4 dogs at the job. So the guys said 92 and 44. They say, we got to do something with this. Jack Snyder had the job, the legendary Jack Snyder. He was captain of 71 in the war years and the 17th Battalion in the war years. So they get a courthouse. They get the courthouse by the Yankee Stadium. And we think we're going to have a trial. Snyder doesn't know what's going on. They send 2 marshals up to Snyder's house, 2 fire marshals. Snyder answers the bell. They cuff him. They cuff him, really cuff him. He said, what are you guys doing? Can't tell you. They throw him in the back of the fire marshal's car, and they drive him down to the court. Did you guys know Drew Hagen? Andy?
No.
Remember Al Hagen, the president?
Yes.
Of his brother, Drew Hagen, was a fireman in 92. Drew's dressed in a robe with the wig on, like the British thing. And we have a courtroom full of all the guys from 92 and 44. The fire marshals bring a locked up Chief Snyder into the courtroom. They charge him for cruelty to animals. And we have a trial. And guys are dressed up as animals. I'm dressed up as a pig. And we all testify.
God.
We all testify at that trial. And they sentence him to hanging. Okay.
Oh my God.
So we all get in our cars and we go up to City Island. They used to have all the parties up at City Island in the Morris Yacht Club back in the days.
Yep.
And they have a noose hanging around one of the beams. And Schneider, now we're drinking and having fun. The noose was just a gimmick. We weren't going to hang him, naturally. Anyway, Schneider gets in his cups and he gets up on the table under the noose and he stands on the chair and he puts the noose around his neck. And he's saying, you guys are the greatest guys in the world. I love you guys. And with that, the chair tips over and he starts to hang himself. I'm telling you, they immediately grab his legs and save his life. But anyway, that's the Jack Snyder hanging from the beam story.
They immediately grab him and save his life.
So then we have 92 and 44. Rocky goes on vacation.
My face
You
hurts.
have that photograph.
Oh,
Rocky's-
I got that.
Rocky's the fire dog, the mascot, 92 and 44. He's on the job 10 years, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, never has a vacation. Fort Lauderdale Fire, there's Rocky. Rocky's never had a day off. Rocky, they make out a vacation leave request. They have a paw print on the thing, and he comes up, they bring him up, and he requests vacation leave from me in a division. So I grant him vacation leave. The Fort Lauderdale Fire Department arranged for Rocky and 2 firemen to come down to Fort Lauderdale, stay in the firehouse, and go on vacation. So the guys go down there on vacation with Rocky the fire dog. And that photograph was in the WNYF. I guess it's got to be back in the 80s or early 90s or something. But that was a great story. Rocky is buried.
I miss those things. Those are funny things.
Yeah, Rocky is buried in the firehouse yard. Okay. Okay, now we move along. We have a big meeting in headquarters. We have a big meeting in headquarters with all the staff and all the division chiefs. They're going to close the divisions. The fire commissioner is a guy named Bruno, chief of department Charlie Rivera, chief of operations Bishop. They want proposed closing divisions. Now, to me, the division saved more firemen's life than any other rank. I'm out in the street. I look up, fires out the 3rd, 4th, and 5th window. The guys are saying, "We got it, chief, on the 2nd floor. We got it." I said, "Come on out." "No, we got it. "Oh, come on out." "Oh, we got it. Listen, there's fire on 3 floors above your head. Get out of the building." So deputies save lives. So they're going to close divisions. So we have this big meeting. And Vinny Dunn, senior chief in the job, nobody's better than Vinny Dunn. And he starts after they make the proposal. Vinny says, "What idiot thought of this?" And God bless him, because he had the courage to say that. And he had the credentials to get away with it, So, they come back at us and everything. So I said to the fire commissioner, Bruno, you guys probably don't remember Bruno, but he had the worst rug in the world. He looked like a dead rat. It used to be on this side of his head.
Second worst.
Yeah.
Second worst rug.
Anyway, so I said to him, Commissioner, I don't know, what are your credentials that you would make a decision on firefighting? Didn't you manage hotels or something? Or were you a lawyer? Holy mackerel. With that, Charlie Rivera, who's chief of department, he almost has a stroke. He goes pale, and Homer's glaring at me. Okay. They're going to close divisions. So actually, they do close the divisions. They close the 5th division, the 8th division, the 9th division, the 10th division, and the 12th division. Homer remembers the monkey, and Homer's going to lift me out of the 6th division. So I go up to see him, and we have a big argument. After all I've done for the job, all the projects you've given me, I've written battalion chief's tests. Every project you've given me, you're going to lift me. And he says, we get into a big fight. And he says, and DiBernardo, you'll go back to the 6th division over my dead body. And he lifts me and he sends me to the 14th division. Okay. I go out to the 14th division, 154, 307. Great house. I'm reunited with Danny Buckeye. He's a lieutenant now. Guys are great. Everything's great. I love it there. While I'm there, one interesting thing. There was the Hickey brothers. Did the Brothers in Battle? Did you ever see that video, guys? Brothers in Battle?
Of course.
Okay. I'm in that video. I have a taxpayer job. I'm wearing those 1950 glasses in it. It was a great scene. That's the only thing I can say about my staying in the 14th division. I had a good taxpayer job, and I was in Brothers in Battle. The poor Hickey brothers, one of them died from cancer, and the other brother, first tour back after the
Brian Hickey. Yep.
Brian Hickey, first tour back, overtime rescue 3, gets killed on 9/11.
Yep.
So my one story from the 14th division is I made that Brothers in Battle fight. While I'm in the 14th division, I get called active duty for Desert Storm. I'm in the office. Guy says, "Chief, somebody on the phone for you." I'll pick it up. Chief DiBernardo. "Hey, this is Lieutenant so-and-so, Lamp area. You're being activated for Desert Shield, Desert Storm." I was like, "Yeah, who is this?" "This is Lieutenant so-and-so." I said, get out of here, hang up. "Hey, Chief, that guy's on the phone again." I said, "Come on, who is this? Stop breaking my..." Who is this? This is Lieutenant from Land Area. You're being... Stop. I hang up again. Chief, the guy's on the phone again. The guy says, do not hang up on me. You're being called to active duty. You have 72 hours to report. So I get called to active duty for Desert Storm. So I go down there and I'm working 7 days a week. I want to get my boots in the sand. They don't want me. They put me in operations on the battle staff. So I'm working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, getting everything organized. You know, I'm making friends with the admiral, the guy in charge of land area. There's one guy in charge of land area, one guy pack area, two big guys. I make friends with the guy. We become buddies. I get everything organized. And after like a month of 7 days a week, I said, I'm going home for the weekend. The guy said, you can't go home for the weekend. There's a war going on. I said, pal, I had my war. I've already been to one war. This is kindergarten here. I'm going home. If you need me, call me. And I went home for the weekend. And I came back on Monday. So I got real friendly with the boss. He said, Joe, if you can get somebody to replace you, after 90 days, you can go. So I got two guys to replace me. I get released. So in the interim, Homer died. So remember Homer said over my dead body, you go back to the 6th Division?
Yep.
So, and Bill Feeney was the boss now. So I said to Bill, I'd like to go back to the 6th Division. He said, go back to the 6th Division, Joe. Bill, Homer died over my dead body. I went back. Bill, great guy, Bill Feeney, another guy we lost on 9/11,
Yeah,
right?
9/11. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I go back to the 6th. Now, we're in the 90s now, right? Things had slowed down. That's why they cut down the divisions. But the 6th Division had half the Bronx, everything below the Cross Bronx, and Harlem from 125th to 165th Street. So although things were slowing down in the 6th Division, now we had so much more of a response area. So we were still pretty busy, and we were still going through a lot of jobs, you know? And I went from 50 and 19 to 71 and 55. They opened a new house, and they were going to put us in the new firehouse. And we moved in, and the first night we were in, they welcomed us with 4 9mm through the front door and said, welcome to the neighborhood. Okay. Different firehouse, different faces, same great guys. Really. Okay. Now, I'm still going to tons of fires, right? Tons of fires. I can't tell you how many times I walked down an alley and the wall came down, walked off out of the floor collapsed. And we had a saying up there in the Bronx, and it's better to be lucky than good.
Good.
Yeah, it's better to be lucky than good. And that's so true. I had a lot of tough fires up there. The Bronx Terminal Marker was about 300-400 yards long on River Avenue. It was a 1-story commercial structure. We had so many fires in that thing. We used to go in there, and you had to get out of the car because you couldn't see where you were going. And you had to get off the rigs. It was so smoky. We had a place we called the Ice House. It was an old ice house. It had 18-inch cork walls with big openings in the floor, holes in the floor. When that cork started going, you couldn't see anything.
Oh,
and
my
we must
God.
have had that place. I must have had that place 40 times. We had old breweries up there. The Bronx used to have a lot of breweries. These are humongous buildings. We had fires in the brewery over and over. The old mill construction had 100 fires in the breweries until they tore them down. Sheffield Farms, it was like 3 city blocks long, all vacant. Must have had that 100 times. The Coffin Factory, you've seen the picture of that one. I had, that made the cover. Nelson Avenue collapse. This is a great picture and a great fire. Nelson Avenue collapse. Key the photo. Nelson Avenue collapse.
Get him.
I had this job
Chief,
on
get
Nelson Avenue. Okay. Now, this is about 3 o'clock in the morning. This is on Nelson Avenue 167. I'm on 156 in Melrose. I'm 15 blocks away, 20 blocks away. I get out on the apron. I could see it from there. On the way, I could see it from where I was, right? I go 6th Division to the Bronx. I don't know how many towel ladders you got coming on this, but send at least 2. They said, what's your location? I said, I just came out of the door of quarters, but I can see it from here. On the way there, the brands that were coming down were the size of softballs from this job. On the way there, I specially called 2 engines for brand control. Okay? Now, you're looking at exposure 4 there. Then that's 44 truck. I call 44. I want you to go into exposure 4 and set up. In those days, I used to piles of bricks at the entrance to the parking lot so people couldn't get in and dump crap. So 44 couldn't get in. Thank God they couldn't get in, because look where that building's coming down. Wow. It would have come right down on 44 truck, right? Yep. So we're going in now. We're going in, and the guy in Rescue 3 is in exposure 3. He says, Chief, I see a crack going down the back wall. I said, 10th floor. Urgent. Everybody out of the building now. We back out. As soon as we back out, this happens, this collapse. Now, I don't know if you can see it. If you look closely, you'll see like a line going through the middle of the fire. That's a telephone cable line. It was very thick. You see it like it's yep. Somebody drew a line. Okay. That building, now we're standing in front of the building there's a telephone pole in the front of the building that this line goes through. It's very thick. It's cables, telephone, everything. It's about 6-8 inches thick. The building hits that line. It doesn't break the line, but the shock snaps the telephone pole in the street in half, and it spins like a propeller. And we're standing like 6 feet away from that. The telephone pole spins around, doesn't hit anybody, and we all like turn white because we all almost got killed. That was a very interesting fire. And luckily, nobody gets hurt at this job. Another miracle. You know what? It's better to be lucky than good, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Another night, I get a job on, I think, it was Fox Street. Famous Fox Street, Kelly Street, those streets where they burnt down like 3 times. It's we get a brownstone. It's a shooting gallery. We get fires through the roof and everything, blah, blah, blah. I get 5 DOAs that night, 5 junkies. We find one on the 3rd floor on the way up. And then we get up there on the 4th floor. We had 4 more. It was a windy night, and it was one of my really bad nights up there. I had multiple fatalities many times, but I remember we had a lot of shooting galleries up there, especially in the 70s. This is the 90s now. And 5 DOAs, all junkies. And, even though they were junkies, it was not a good thing. So let's go to a fun story now. You guys know Steve Luisi?
Of course.
Captain of 92, right? So he's a covering lieutenant. And 71 and 55, 6th Division, we had a ravioli eating contest, and we used to give trophies to the winner.
Of course.
So we have a ravioli eating contest, and I'm the judge. Of course, we have raviolis for dinner, Arthur Avenue. I had 6, and I was full. So now we have all the companies come over, and we have ravioli eating contest. And we got like 6 entries, right? The winner and we have a trophy we give out. So the winner from last year, they come in with their boxing robes on, and they start jumping around. It's really a lot of fun. We have a lot of laughs. Bingo, they start eating. Steve's there eating. They're all eating. They're up to 25, 30, 35. A couple of guys are dropping out, 40, 45. Guys are going out in the driveway, puking. And, 45, 50 guys are dropping out. Stevie's there psyching them out. He says, you got any bread to go with these raviolis? I'd like a little bread and butter. He's trying to psych them out. We get up. There's 2 guys left. The winner from last year, and Steve. Steve eats 125 raviolis.
Oh my God! Swear
on the Bible, on my child's life. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. 125 raviolis, and not the little Chef Boyardee, the big ones.
Yeah.
Not the
Steve
Chef
won the trophy,
Boyardee.
and I'm telling you, after that they retired the trophy because nobody's going to beat that one.
125 raviolis.
That's the ravioli eating contest. Okay, here's another good one. The Pope came to New York. I forget what year. Right? You guys probably don't remember it, but anyway. So Mahoney and the crazy nuts over 92 and 44 decide to build a Pope mobile. So they get a car with a trailer, and they build this big throne. And Mahoney, crazy Mahoney, dresses up all in white with that big funny looking hat the Pope wears. I don't know what you call it. He's all in white. They're towing Mahoney around the neighborhood up there.
In the Pope mobile.
In the Pope mobile. And the guys are marching behind it and clapping, and they're playing music and they're having a ball. Okay. The local people go over to the precinct. They said the KKK just had a parade in the Bronx.
Oh my God.
So the cops come to quarters. They said, "Did you guys have a KKK march?" No, not at all. It was the Pope mobile, man. The Pope came to the Bronx, and we wanted to have a parade. So anyway, it was in the local paper that the KKK was parading in the Bronx.
Oh my goodness gracious.
All right, let's see. That brings us to 93, the World Trade Center bombing. I will get a little serious here. I responded down to the Trade Center in 93. I did a lot of things at that. I was down in the crater with Ray Downey. And we were down there looking around. And Ray Downey was like the expert on these types of incidences. He was the incident commander out at Oklahoma when they blew the federal building up in Oklahoma. Ray was very knowledgeable. And Ray and I were down there looking at, I don't know how many support columns that bomb took out. But anyway, Ray says to me, he said, "Joe, if this bomb didn't take this building down, nothing will take this building down." Ironic, right? Because we all know what happened to Ray on 9/11, right? Okay, I got a report to the chief of the department. He said, "Joe, take charge of the secondary search in whatever tower, I don't remember." He said, "Coordinate with the cops." So it's a 110-story building, right? So the cops come over to me. I said, "It's a 110-story building. You guys take 55 to 110. We'll take 1 to 155. I'm not going up to 110. So he gives me like 6 truck companies. I get 6 truck companies. I said, "Okay, guys, we're going to go up. We're going to do a secondary search. We're going to take our time. I'm going to lead you. We're going to stop every 10 floors and take a break." So I start out with 6 truck companies. And every now and then a good-looking girl would come down the stairs. Nice, good-looking secretary. "Well, wait a minute, I'll help you." One of the guys from the truck, "I'll help you down the stairs." We go up a couple of more flights. Another good-looking girl comes by. "Oh, wait a minute, I'll help you." I stop on 10. I stop on 20. I get up to like 55. 55. I turn around. There's 2 guys left. I started out with 36 guys. There's 2 guys left. I said, "Where'd they all go?" He said, "Well, they're helping all the pretty girls down the stairs." They said, "Chief, we were going to the roof with you." I get up. We set a triage center up in the Sky lobby. Mike Dugan, you know Mike Dugan, right?
Yep.
We pulled about 20 kids. He was in 43 truck at that time. We pulled about 20 school kids out of an elevator. It was very interesting, that thing. Okay. Now it takes us to 1993.
Before we get to 1993, this is a really important thing that is coming in hot from the chat.
Uh-oh.
Okay. They're saying that the chief needs to do his raccoon impression, whatever that means.
I give up. I don't know.
All right. Well, that's that then. Never mind. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. That's what it said. Yep. I wrote it down. Raccoon impression.
I don't know what that one means. We'll have to investigate that one.
All right.
Hey, Chief. Also, Jimmy Daly's in the chat. For those of you who don't know this man, he is one of the most sincere, down-to-earth chief officers this job has ever seen. Always loved his men wherever he worked. Took care of us like a father.
That was Jimmy. Jimmy was an assistant chief when he retired. He was one of my guys in 92 and 44. Great guy. Yep. The guy, they're all great houses. Every house is a great house. I never was in a bad house in the fire service. Yep.
And don't worry, Chief Daly. We're coming for you next.
Yeah. Jimmy Daly, great guy. He's a great guy. Like I said, I never was in a bad house. The only thing different was the faces and the front piece,
Hey, Chief.
yeah.
Go ahead, Petey.
Well, no, I was just going to say that we're getting on to that time. It's getting very close for us. We're well beyond that time, but where do we want to go?
We need to save time for the foundation too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, where do you want to go? You tell me where you want to go.
I say we go to the foundation.
Wait, let's just finish up. You finished. You went to 2001, right? You retired in 2001 as Division 6 Commander, correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay,
and
well, we got to talk about Black Sunday, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about Black Sunday, and then we'll go to the foundation.
All right.
And then we'll do old school tip of the day.
All right. Let me see Black Sunday. All right. Black Sunday was I call it the perfect storm of everything that could go wrong went wrong, right? Tenement fires. The guys have been through hundreds of tenement fires, but every now and then the Red Devil jumps up and bites you, right? So, the fire was in illegal single room on the 3rd floor. Illegals. They were subdivided. Illegal partitions. It was a snowstorm. That means frozen hydrants. They lost water. They delayed response. All right, there's the fire building right there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Frozen hydrants, lost water, delayed response, illegal partitions, illegal electric hookup, partitions blocking off the access to the fire escape, 5 stories in the rear. They get up there, they're searching for a life. What happened is they subdivided all the apartments into SROs. So the fire started on the 3rd floor, but it was burning on the other side of a partition, and the guys didn't see that it was burning on the other side of the partition. They lost water on the 3rd floor because something happened to the pumps. They had a line on the 4th floor. They relocated that line to the 3rd floor. Now the guys are up on the 4th floor because of illegal partitions. They don't see the fire burning through from the 3rd to the 4th. And it's burning through. It burns through the floor. It's windy, snowy day. The Def cooler is in the front, is in the kitchen. He pops a hole in the wall. He sees fire. He goes to tell the guys that are in the main living room, which be the 3rd and the 4th window from the right. Okay, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th window from the right. That's the main living room. But by the fire escape, there is the illegal partition. That's where the fire burns through. They don't see it. Jeff pops the kitchen wall, sees fire. He goes to tell the guys in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th window, 27 truck, 3 rescue, 3. Hey guys, there's fire in the kitchen. We got to get out of here. With that, the fire burns through the floor. The wind blows it down the hall. The fire is now looking for air. It reverses, and it comes to the guys in those windows. The room is engulfed in fire. The window next to the fire escape, John Ballou leaps for the fire escape. He can't get to the fire escape because of the illegal partition. John misses the fire escape. Look at how far it's down to the alley, the backyard, right? It's 5 stories in the rear.
And yeah,
John
it's
Ballou,
extra. It's extra.
Yeah. John goes down. He lives a lovely wife and 4 kids, right? The next window to the right is Kurt Myron, covered in 27 truck. Brendan Cooley lost his brother on 9/11. Gene Stolowski from 27 truck. Okay. Brendan and Gene lower Kurt. Kurt dies on impact. He left a wife and 3 kids, okay? Next, Eugene lowers Brendan. Brendan lost his brother on 9/11. Brendan hits the ground. Now Eugene's burning up. He's on fire. He goes headfirst out the window. Luckily, it was a child guard. He gets caught up on the child guard, and it swings him around. And he he winds up feet heading towards the ground. He's hung up on the child guard. He dove out head first. He would have been definitely killed. He reaches back and he frees himself and he goes down and hits the ground. Okay. The next window, Jeff Cool's hanging out the window. Jeff's got a rope that he bought himself. Now, we all know the story about the personal safety ropes that Von Essen took away on a cost-cutting measure. The divisions told Von Essen, don't take the ropes away. The safety battalion told Von Essen, don't take the ropes away. The union that Von Essen was the president of said, don't take the ropes away. To save a couple of bucks, he takes the ropes away. They never use them. They only use them 7 times in the last X amount of years. So our answer was at the division conference was, yeah, that's 7 less funerals you had to go to. He still took them away. So Jeff had his own rope that he bought. Because of the fire conditions, he's got no place to tie off. I'm sure Jeff told you guys this story, right? But for the people that didn't hear this story, I'll keep telling it. Got no place to tie off. He's hanging out the window. Fire conditions, he can't look for a solid object. In those days, the PSS didn't have a hook. It was just a rope that you tied off on a substantial object. He's hanging out the window. The last window over, Joey pops his head out. Jeff says, Joey, I got a rope. I'll lower you. Joey says, Jeff, you have a wife and kids. I'll lower you. No time to argue. Throw me the goddamn rope. First of all, Jeff's a hero for offering to save Joey's life. Joey offers to save Jeff's life. Jeff throws Joey the rope. Joey wraps it around his arm and his body. Jeff jumps out the freaking window. He pendulums. He hits the side of the building on the one about 10 feet down. He loses control of the rope and he falls in that side alley. If you see the side alley in the building, right? That's the rear.
A couple of steps higher, right?
It's at least 10 feet higher if you look.
Right.
I think those steps go to the left. Yeah. All right. So you go back to the other picture anyway. Joey, yeah. You see the side alley there? All right. It's about, it's about 8 or 10 feet he saves. But he got about 10 feet on the top, too. Now, Joey's in the window. He ties it around the child guard. He goes about 10 feet down. He loses control. He hits the ground. They're all terribly, terribly, terribly injured. 2 are dead. Thank God there's an EM medic from 38 truck in the back that he sees Eugene and he steadies his head. They transport him all to the hospital. Jeff broke everything, takes 78 units of blood. Eugene winds up decapitated. His skull is separated from his spinal column. I'm in a hospital when the doctor tells his wife, your husband's decapitated. We're going to try this operation. I said to the doctor, what's the odds? He said 1 in 100 that I'll ever walk again. 1 in 100. Only 7 people in history ever survived this operation and walked again. In history. Joey broke everything below his waist. Joey went into respiratory arrest. They had to intubate him. He goes into a coma. Okay. These guys they're all almost dead, all the 3 of them. They all miraculously survive. They all spend months in the hospital. And then they spend months and months in the nursing home, okay? And once they get mobile again, they say, we got to save people's lives. So they go on a crusade to get personal safety systems for everybody in the country. They get the law changed in New York State. Eugene, Joey, Jeff Poole, and Brendan. They go around the country. They go to all the conferences. They visit cities. They're on a campaign to save lives. Okay. They bring awareness. They get the law changed in New York State, like I said. They go to all the cities, and then Joey comes visit me one day. Joey had short-term memory loss because of his concussion and because he went into respiratory arrest. He'd forget things. Like he said, Dad, do you want to do? I said, we did that yesterday. He come to visit me one day. Want to go for lunch? I said, nah. He says, I said, what are you up to? He said, I'm going to make, I registered in college. He was on the Brookhaven Task Force for counseling. So anybody that was in an accident out there in Suffolk County, he would go over and talk to the firemen and counsel them. So he said, I think I want to be a counselor. So he registered in college. I said, I registered in Suffolk. I'm going to take some courses. And he said, I'm going on vacation in Pennsylvania, blah, blah, blah. And he went and visited his friend that's a fire marshal that lives around the corner from me. So that night he goes home. He makes reservations in Pennsylvania. He bought some stuff on the computer, took his meds, cooked dinner, and short-term memory loss, we figured that he took his meds again. So he doesn't wake up in the morning. We surmise he took his meds twice by accident. So now he's the fourth victim of that fire. Huh? So Joey passes away. A couple of guys approach me and they say, we want to do something in Joey's memory. So we want to start a foundation in his honor. So I met some people and I didn't know anything about forming a foundation or anything. So I met with a CPA and he helped me make out the 5013C. A lot of things I didn't know. And he helped me, spend hours with me. And I got a lawyer to volunteer his times. And with Jeff Cool, we got together and we've got a bunch of Joey's friends and we formed this, the Joey D Foundation, the Lieutenant Joseph P. DiBernardo Memorial Foundation. And that was in 2013. And in 2014, and then 2013, I think we had our first seminar in 2013. Yeah, we had 75 guys there. We raised about $25,000. We gave our first grants out. And then Jeff Cool hooked us up with Bobby Burke, the actor from Rescue Me, Robert J. Burke. And Robert J. Burke hooked us up with Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary has the Leary Firefighters Foundation in honor of his cousin who was killed in the Worcester fire up in Massachusetts. And Leary comes up with 25 large for us.
Wow.
And now we're rocking and rolling. So 25 large from Leary. There he is with the two boys in their wheelchairs. And we getting donations from people, from the lawyers and everybody's making donations. Jeff's jumping out of airplanes and doing everything for us. And my friends are sending donations. And then little G, Captain Farrell, he sends me $10,000. So I got Leary sending me 25 grand, Bob Farrell sending me 10 grand. We're really rocking and rolling. Jeff is out there, and this guy Ryan Parrott out in Texas, a Navy SEAL. They're jumping out of planes, doing everything. Bird's Eye View Project adopts us. He's sending me money. I have my friends, they're all sending me $1,000 or $5,000 or $100 or $25. I got guys teaching for me. Eddie Kilduff, Vinny Dunn, Chicarico, Dugan, Salka, Bobby Morris, the father, Jason Breslin, Terry Grace, all the big hitters. These guys get $3,000-$4,000 a lecture. They do it for me for nothing. We're becoming, successful. We're raising thousands of dollars. We're having great seminars. Now, let me tell you what we've done so far. The foundation to date has given out $610,416.
Wow.
610. We started out with nothing, zero. We've given 51 grants to 42 departments. We've purchased 1,175 PSS systems. And when you get a PSS, you guys know you have to be trained to use it, right? And that's not cheap. They get like $250 a student. So these things are going for $800-900 a clip. And we've given $610,000 away. Now, at our seminars, we've trained, last year we got blown out with COVID, but we've trained 1,300 firefighters at our seminars. These 1,300 firefighters go home and train their 50 guys, 20 guys, 100 guys. So in essence, we've trained 13,000 firefighters, and they are now safer, and their community is safer, and all the knowledge that we've passed on to them, we've made them safer. So we've given out grants. I just want to tell you the states we've given out grants to: New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maine, Ohio, Texas, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Utah, Arkansas, West Virginia, Indiana, Connecticut, Tennessee, and Kansas. So we've given, and Oregon, we go coast to coast. We've given out grants. The little departments and big departments: Erie, Pennsylvania, Morgantown, West Virginia, New London, Connecticut. And we've given them out to like East Cupcake, Tennessee, 20 million department. So we're really, saving lives. And I can't say enough about Jeff Cool and Jeff Cool Jr., all the money they've raised. I can't say enough about, there's so many people that have contributed money. I don't want to insult anybody by missing them. But we have our foundation every year, and Lieutenant Yost that you work with from Squad 270, I'm telling you, the man is amazing. He works 5 days a week setting up our seminar. We're going to have our seminar this year. We have hands-on training where guys get to do everything you can think of at the Suffolk County Fire Academy. I can't say enough about the guys out at Suffolk County Fire Academy. They're all pros. They all come in 2 days on their own time and do it for nothing for us. They're all FDNY guys, top of the line guys. And they come in and they teach for us they take 2 days and they do it for nothing. And all these great guys, they teach for us for nothing. And we have the greatest students in the world. You know why? Because they come and they want to learn. They come to us. They don't want to go to party, or there's no partying. You just come to us, our training, to learn. It's not like Indianapolis or Nashville or anything. These guys are what Joey's famous saying is, these guys, are you on the job or are you into the job? And these guys are into the job. They sit there, they take notes, they love it. And Kevin Yost, he set up training this year, you won't believe, man. They're rappelling down elevator shafts. We're doing trench rescue, high angle. We got the man versus machine, residential fire, commercial fires, tower ladders, RIT training, everything you could think of. Who's going to open our seminar this year? None other than Tommy Richardson, Chief of Department. Okay,
Great guy.
he's a great guy. Tommy. He's gonna open our seminar this year. So how much time I got?
Couple minutes, Chief.
Okay, I want to end with some tidbits of advice. Okay,
Oh,
can I do it?
Can we call this our old school tip of the day?
This
then,
is our old school tip of the day. Yes. Go
And I'm
ahead,
going to
Pete.
refrain from the music today, out of respect for the chief, and let's just keep it simple here. Old school tip of the day, Chief. Take it away.
Okay, I got a couple of them. Beware the expert. I've attended many conferences and classes over the years, and I always wanted to learn. I'm going to supervise a rescue company in a high angle rescue or a trench. I want to know what I'm doing. So I took all these classes, and I've gone to all Indy and Nashville and FDIC and all that crap. And every now and then you get an expert about fires. Look, I've been to 10,000 fires, and I'm not an expert. You know what I say? I'm experienced, but I'm lucky because I had the best fireman in the world working for me. So I'm lucky. But I go to some of these things, and the chief from East Cupcake, whatever, is telling me how to put out a fire in East Cupcake that had 3 fires in the last 3 years. So, beware the expert. You go to the experts in the rescue disciplines and man versus machine and that, and learn. You can learn those things, but there's no expert in firefighting. Routine tenement fire in the Bronx, routine tenement. I've been to thousands of them. Black Sunday fire, routine, nothing's routine. The Red Devil's going to come up and bite you in the ass. So beware the expert talking about structural fires, all right? Here's something I always say: train, and train some more. In the infantry, we were taught to disassemble our weapon and reassemble it blindfolded. You know why? And when we did it, if we did it in a minute and a half, we had to get it in a minute and 15. If we did it in a minute and 15, we had to do it in a minute. We had to do it blindfold. Were they breaking our traps? No, they were saving our lives. Because in a monsoon, At night in the dark, you can't even see your hand. And if your weapon jams, you have to be able to disassemble that weapon, clear it, and reload it. So what you have to do is train, train, train. Muscle memory. Keep training, training, training. So when you have to go single slide, you don't have to stop and think. When you have to do this, you don't have to stop and think. You just do it. Do it by muscle memory. My favorite drill is the man down below grade. Okay? I used to go into the firehouse. I'd pick out the biggest guy, tell him to go down and lay in the basement. Put the lights out, black out their face piece. I'd send one man down. It's a Mayday, go down to the basement, get that guy out of the basement. In the dark, with a blacked out face piece. Now he locates him. Now, you remember the Fowler fires, guys?
Yes.
Fowler, yeah, okay. He was trapped in the basement. They couldn't get him out of the basement. He kept kept slipping out of their grip.
Yeah.
There's an evolution for that.
It was a small PD too, very small building.
Yeah, there's an evolution for that. That's why I went around with the guys and I'd say, okay, you go down, you lay down, you're the biggest guy. You go down and you go get him. When you locate him, give him Mayday. We'll send the other guy down to help you. And you'll be surprised how difficult it is to get somebody up the stairs in the dark. And it's not even a fire. And there's no pressure on you. There's no loss of life. And you time it. You're amazed how long it takes to do that. But if you practice it and practice it and practice it, you get better. And you cut your time in half. So that's why I always say train, train, and train some more. Here's another one. See the big picture. Okay. I went into a job once in Harlem, and I had an experienced chief officer chew me out. Okay. I reported in. I was a captain. I reported into the chief. He said, turn around, Cap. Face away from the building. What's up, Chief? What do you want? He said, he asked me these questions. He says to me, so where's the fire located? What color is the smoke? How many floors in this building, Cap? What are the exposures? How many rooms do you think the fire is in based on your observation? Are there front fire escapes? So he asked me like 6 questions. You know what? I had tunnel vision. I was embarrassed. I came down the block and the only thing I was looking at was the fire blowing out the window, right? And I couldn't answer those questions. So slow down, see the whole picture. And it's going to increase your ability to operate and perform more efficiently at a fire. And I'm telling you, you company officers and you chiefs out there, try this at your next job. Somebody reports into you, tell them to turn around and ask him those questions. And guess what? It'll never happen again because he's going to see the whole picture. Don't have tunnel vision. See the whole picture. It's a good point. And try it. Okay. All right. Okay. The new type construction that we have out there, this lightweight truss. Okay. And you should know, not only this new construction, but you should know your response area. A lot of you guys work in an area, 90% PDs. Well, you should get out in the other 10%. Where's the cellar entrance? What's on the roof? Where's the Siamese? What's the layout? What's the stock? Does it have propane cylinders in it? Is it a complicated place? Do a pre-plan. Is it new lightweight truss construction? That's a fireman's killer. You got a lightweight truss building? Don't go on a roof. When those buildings were starting to be put up in the Bronx, those lightweight trusses, we had a couple of jobs in them. The floors were collapsing. We wrote up a circular in the 6th Division, and we told the guys, nobody goes on the roof, blah, blah, blah. And our circular was so good, they used it in the New Jersey fire departments. Okay, another thing. If you're going to become an officer, you got to be a leader. And I always tell the guys that they get promoted, they come up to meet the deputy. I would say, you were promoted to serve your men, not to have your men serve you. You have to be the tip of the spear. In our business, as we have discussed, you have to prove yourself every day, right? You're only as good as your last fire. We already talked about that. You get a job, good job, you come back, you critique it. You sit around the table, have a cup of coffee, you critique your job. What went well? What could we have done better? Okay? You always critique your fires because you can always do a better job. If everything went perfect, that's great. Another thing, treat all people with respect. I always treated the probie the same way I treated a chief. Treat everybody with respect. There's another thing I tell chiefs, show your front piece. Show your front piece. I was a deputy, and after everything got under control and everything was cool, I walked up 5 flights to the rear of a big H, through the smoke, and said to the first 2 engine and truck, how you guys doing? You want to blow? No, chief, we're good. But to see the deputy come walking through the smoke, I showed my front piece. And believe me, the guys respected that. The captain of 92 engine was a guy named Eddie Kilduff. You know him, right?
Yes.
Chief of the department, right? He said, when you used to come walking through the smoke, man, we loved that. The deputies, no deputies did that. You did that. You used to come in with your little clipboard. How you guys doing? You want to blow? Nah, we're good, chief. The good companies, they never want to blow, right? You got to order them out, right? Nah, we're good. No, come on. You guys get out of here. Go home. You know, swap rigs. Another thing that bothers me today, incident command. During the busy times, we were putting out 1,000 fires. Very good. And then somebody came up for an, I don't know what years, it was the 80s and 90s. It was the 90s. Whatever we were doing, they said, that's incident command. So I didn't know that we were doing that. The best thing I ever read about running a fire was Division Circular 36 that some chief that went through the war years wrote. And he told you at every fire what the chief's position should be. And my feeling is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now I understand today that the first dude chief doesn't go in the building. He's the incident commander. The deputy doesn't go in the building. The second dude chief goes in the building and he's the operations chief. Am I correct, Lieutenant?
Yeah, they got the floor above, the floor, all that stuff. They got a lot of chiefs.
Indians, right? If you know what, I tell you, this, I'll give you an example. Now, the chief, I'm the first dude chief. I've been a chief 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And the all hands chief comes in. He's going to be the operations chief. He got made yesterday. And he was out in Staten Island and he was, all he did was PDs and he went to I don't want to say Staten. I don't want to say any borough. He's out in East Cupcake, Tennessee, and he hasn't been to many fires. Now he's going to run the fire, or it could be an ABC who got promoted yesterday or something. I don't believe this stuff that they're changing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't agree with this new policy. I think you set up your units, and then you move into the point of attack. Okay, so and point 7. This is a good one. I remember that Indiana Jones movie when the guy comes with all that stuff, and he's got the whip and the gun, and he looks at the whip and he takes the gun out and he shoots the guy. Okay, so right? You don't go to a gunfight with a knife, right? There are departments in America that are sending firefighters in harm's way without the proper protective gear. They don't send their cops out without a gun or a vest. The cop in Podunk never used his gun in 20 years. He's never been shot, but he's got a vest and a gun. But in Podunk, they're sending their firefighters into a fire without personal safety systems. And they give you this bullshit that, it's only 2 stories. Well, do the physics. Jump out of 2-story windows like standing in a parking lot being hit by a car doing 20 miles an hour. How would you like that?
I'm out.
You could break your neck and be paralyzed for the rest of your life. Okay. Would you rather spend a couple of bucks giving them PSS, or would you rather give a flag to a widow at a funeral? Okay, so don't be cheap. Shame on you if you don't have PSS in your department. Let me tell you, the widows of and children of Kurt Myron, John Ballou, and the parents of Joey D had their lives changed forever because the city, FDNY, and Von Essen wanted to save a few bucks. If you're listening out there in America, don't send your firefighters to a gunfight with a knife. Buy them PSS, okay? And listen, if all you guys told me you have 40,000 listeners, right? If they each send $1, I can get $40,000 to my foundation, and I could buy 40, 50 PSS. So all you people out there in TV, in whatever land we're in, What land are we in? Google land? I
I
don't
don't even
know.
know where we are anymore.
YouTube land.
Have a Google land wherever we are. Send me Joey D. Found measure. I just ask. Just send $1. Send $10. If all these great listeners, listen, we're saving firefighters' lives. We need the money. We had a terrible year last year because of COVID. We didn't have any fundraising at all. We need the money. We started out with nothing. We gave $610,000 away. We need your money. We need your help. Thank God for Dennis Leary, Bob Farrell, Jeff Cool Jr., Kevin Yost, and all my volunteers. And I hope I didn't bore you too much tonight.
Oh, no way.
I have no words. I have no words. I don't know what else to say.
Really? Blown away, Chief.
I
I can't tell you how many guys said best show we've ever done.
Really? And I got half the stories. I couldn't tell because we rushed.
Well, they said that we're going to have a part 2. So
part 2, part 3, part 4.
Listen,
so
I'd rather crawl down a fire and run through fire than do this. Believe me, I'm a little nervous. I'd rather go back to Nam.
I don't blame you. I've been feeling that way too.
It's so funny he says that because I've had 40-year guys, right? 30, 40-year guys. I talked to them like we talked, Chief, prior to coming on the show a couple of days, every few days. And they would be like, I'm a little nervous. I'm like, what are you telling me? You ran into burning buildings for 40 years in the FDNY or Chicago, wherever the heck they were from. And they gave me that story. But
hey, Pete, pull up that Charles Lind quote just now.
Oh, Charlie Zeke?
No, Charlie Lind.
Yeah, they call him Zeke.
Oh,
right, he's a New Jersey fire chief.
Yes, he just said he got $1,000 come from New Jersey Deputy Battalion's fire chief.
Yeah, he sends me $1,000 every year. Great guy. He's a volunteer. He's going to be volunteering at my seminar. Hey, did I tell you the story about the roof rope rescue in 42 truck? We got a minute? How much time we got?
We got 1 minute. Go.
All right. We got a job at a big H. Fires blowing out the windows. Woman hanging out the third floor window, right? She's hanging out. Help, help. Right? Guy's up and ready to do a single slide, right? Mel Callaghan from the 5.5, his head pops out of the window next to her. I said, holy shit, we're in the flat. She's to your right. She's to your right. Mel head disappears. Next thing you know, the woman's over here. Mel was over here. He disappears. He comes out of this window. I said,
you're on the left.
The guy from 42 truck does a single slide, grabs the woman.
Oh, no, don't tell me that. Oh,
and who was sitting on the parapet ready to go again? Pete Dealfield. Pete Dealfield, who ran through the tunnel on 9/11, went into 10 and 10, took the guy's gear, and never came home.
I remember that. He wrote it in the book, right? Is that the guy he wrote in the book, right?
Pete Dealfield from Ladder 42.
Right. Yeah. Well, Chief, I wanted to tell you. Hold on, Coops. We did a shirt, and I didn't even tell Coops about this, so this is going to be. So we did a shirt for the 20th anniversary. There was a lot of companies out there, making money off of 9/11.
9/11, yeah, I know. That makes me sick.
So we were kind of like, me and Coops were going back and forth, and we said, what are we going to do? Because these guys weren't even around. They don't even know nothing about it, except that it's an opportunity to make a few bucks, right? So Kevin came up with the idea we were going to make a shirt and give it to one of our guys who draws. He did some incredible drawing, and we came up with a shirt, maybe like a month and a half before, before the 11th, and we decided that we were going to donate all the proceeds to that shirt, whatever that shirt was. We were going to donate the proceeds to that to an FDNY charity of our thinking, right? We didn't label what it was or who it was or any of that stuff. So I had thought, I had talked to Kevin, and we're still selling the shirt right now. We're just selling out of whatever stock that we have left. I don't know if you even know if Kevin, if we had other stock coming in. I don't even know, because we were supposed to go to Philadelphia and we were going to sell the shirt there too. But whatever, as soon as the shirt is done with its run, then we're going to cut a check to you for the proceeds from that shirt. And, of course, we'll add a little bit. So that's what I wanted to tell you. I didn't tell Kevin that either, but, just listening to you and talking to you, I knew about the foundation, and, from talking to Kevin Yost, I know about the foundation. Obviously, I know that you have speakers there, but I didn't realize 100% what you're actually doing. So that's I made a command decision as
look at you go. Yeah. I just want to say, Chief, I got the pleasure. I was in the academy with Joey, so I got to know him in the academy. And then when we both went to the squad, I got to know him a little bit better. So I just want to say he was a great guy.
Yeah, he was a font of knowledge, man.
Yep.
He could tell you what a shovel. He could tell you what a shovel of dirt weighed. He even went to crane operator school to learn about loads and everything. I come to the firehouse since he's 10. He put out his first fire when he's 10. I had him pulling ceilings in the Bronx when he was 16.
No, that guy lived. I mean, I love the job. That guy loved the job, man.
Well, very humble though.
I used to bring him in. He pulling ceilings in the smoke. He was and run out with his eyes. And George Eyes almost killed him on Wyckoff Avenue. But he,
So my cousin was in Squad 61 when we started. So I used to, we used to do mutuals
Joey was
together.
a plank member. Yeah, Joey was a plank member. Eddie Garrity came to me and said they're forming the squads. I want your son. I said he's in the rotation. He says he's out of the rotation. He's going to 61 tomorrow.
Good.
He was a plank member.
Yeah.
Right, Ralph Tiso called me up and said, I want your son in Rescue 3. I said, don't ask me. I don't want any of that pop time bullshit. Pop time. Those guys put their sons in rescue. I said, no, that's between you and him. He had 5 years in the job. He went to rescue, and he taught at the rescue school with like 7 years in the job, or 6 years, 7 years. He taught, and he said to me, Dad, I only got 7 years in the job. They want me to teach at rescue school. Joe, as soon as you open your mouth, if they want to learn, they're going to say, this guy's he knows what he's talking about. They're going to listen.
No doubt.
God bless him. He's up there listening now. He's probably having a cigar and a beer. Yeah.
All right, Louis.
Thank you, guys. I hope
I enjoyed it. Great stories. Hysterical. Great stories. Great knowledge. Just appreciate getting to meet you. Really, it was an honor for us to have you on the show.
It really is an honor. We've been trying to get you for months and months and months and months, and I think it's perfect timing too, because you're having the seminar in
November.
A couple of weeks. So I'm going to post it up on our.
Yeah, we got high angle rescue. We got the scaffold rescue, trench rescue, live burns, you name it. We got everything, man.
And I just want to take the opportunity now to say, Chief Kleehouse, if you're watching, this is what it feels like to come on the show after a while.
Did it go fast?
Very natural. It's very calm, very fun.
Did it go fast?
Yeah.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
I tell you, we didn't even cover half the stuff that I wanted to cover.
Part two.
That's always the same. No. I told you we're going to say that. I said you're going to say that
already. I feel like I just took a feed.
Oh shit, that's freaking awesome.
All right, Jen.
All right,
what's our shout outs?
I don't have a shout out.
Remember, Urban Renewal.
Yeah.
All right, Chief. We're gonna close out, Chief, and then just stay where you are. And like we said, we'll talk in the back when we're done.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Good night, America.
All right, boys. So, hey, just a quick shout out to Cinque. I saw the boys running out to a job today. I was in the city. They blew right by me. It was awesome. We did a spotlight on their firehouse that I'll never forget. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check that out on our channel, which of course you guys know is youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. Take your filthy finger and hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Can't tell you that enough. Guys, also head on over to iTunes, Podcast, Spotify, or wherever fine audio podcasts are found to listen to our show if you're driving or if you're going to the gym, anything like that. Also, guys, we're on Instagram at Salty Dog Inc., where Mr. Refreno curates the saltiest fire photos. Head on over to gettingsaltyapparel.com, you guys, to get your t-shirts, your hats, your firefighter apparel, and accessories like this. So guys, get on over there if you want to support the show. Thank you, everyone who hit us in the super chat tonight. That was outstanding. We really appreciate your generosity. It's really too kind. Also, guys, head on over to Facebook to the Gettin Salty fans page. We don't own it, we don't run it, but you will find awesome articles on firefighting and a lot of back and forth. Man, they're 18,000 plus and growing stronger by the day. Also, guys, last but not least, if you want to email us your questions at gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com. And if you want to shoot us some helmet cam footage, rig photos, fire photos, father-son photos, father-daughter photos, tattoo photos, mustache photos, table photos, firehouse photos, all the good stuff for Cup of Joe and Fuego, shoot it to coobspodcast@gmail.com. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the news that is fit to print. Boom.
Sweet. All right, fellas. So we will see you. No, not Thursday. Roofy's going moose hunting, and we'll probably have the third installment of the Rock episode.
Third of four.
Right.
Of four.
Right.
Yep.
Back on Monday, we'll be doing another tabletop drill with Hank and Heavy D. Roofy-less. No Roofy. He'll be shooting moose. All right. That's it, Chief. Once again, it was an honor to have you. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys Monday night. Stay low and go.
Chief, it was a pleasure. Really. I
Stay-
enjoyed myself.
All right, thank you. God
Very
bless you
good
guys.
stuff. Thank
Stay
you.
low and let it blow.
See you at the big one, everybody.
Cheers, brothers.
Okay.